which of these payments was a ride on a sky ship, one that has just recently been taken out for a spin, called the Silver Moon, I believe it was. On the Silver Moon, that's right.
Silver Sun?
Silver Sun, that's it. I knew it was two S's, my the Silver Sun. Hey, fun fact, fun little Easter egg. The Silver Sun is the airship that Lord Esteros gave to the Campaign 3 party. So, anyway, I just like this little Easter eggs. Nobody caught on, so I wanted to give it. Anyway, so you ride the ship all the way north, and do a very fun jump off the side of the ship, descend down to Lyrengorn, and find yourself entering into this wonderful city that you've wanted to visit for so very long. Learning much about it, but first of which, running into a most auspicious performer, an elf, a rather strange elf by the name of Nyx, who claims to be from a place called the Feywild, and performs lovely performances alongside their fellow fairy companions, and decided that you guys were weird enough that they would hang out, keep alone. You guys made your way inside, and you learn much about Lyrengorn. It's many districts, many places to go exploring, which, looking back on, I probably info dumped a little too hard on. But there is all kinds of stuff, such as a wood elven society that lives under the actual glaciers that attach themselves to the side of elven peaks. Not to mention Lyrengorn itself, which is a place that plays with transmutation to explore gender roles and explore magic. Magic is like breathing here. It is a beautiful, wonderful city that you all decided to take a vacation at. Yvaine went to the Temple of the Moon and enjoyed some of the moon glow lotus outside, and enjoyed in the embrace of the Moon Maiden, or wrong campaign. The Moon Weaver. Zarvolg went hunting with the Wood Elves, with a fellow by the name of Inaris Oakenbrook and his companions, and impressed them by slaying a bear with one shot. Glint and Yvaine went to a bookshop and are continuing to explore there. Nyx and Ember went to a wonderful instrument shop, and last but not least, Finch went people watching and observed maybe some interesting people around the square. Some folks from the governing halls, people talking about other things, watching their culture unfold. So far, so good. But you guys have, as you are coming towards the end of the day of the 28th, you have 3 days till the festival begins. So at this late hour in the day, there's going to be plenty of time to come back and continue to explore. So fear not if I say it's late and the doors are closed. You can always come back tomorrow. But yes, it's growing a little late. You guys have been hunting through your books, grabbed a couple here and there. Who would like to start as we continue our vacation?
Well, I know that Glint and Yvaine were going through some books, as said. Yvaine, I think, was studying specifically, was it astrology or was it Orcus this time?
Okay, so if you look the attack in Lyrengorn, all of the places, like in a quick reference, and if you look at the session notes, I actually go over, like, it's got all of the things listed. So you had 3 books specifically. And those 3 books were A New Perspective on Illusion Magic, History of Magic in Lyrengorn, and a specific text on body transmutation, and specifically a Lyrengorn's culture, an exploration of Lyrengorn's culture, a physical exploration as it relates to gender. And Yvaine, so I wasn't certain how many books she had. She for sure has 4. Starlit Codex, a text on the Moonweaver's obscure portfolio as a love goddess, a book on illusion and ethics from like a theological perspective, and then a book on the Moonweaver and the Knowing Mentor, and then working together. If the Moonweaver is the great tapestry of divination, then Ayun is the great interpreter of that tapestry. But then there are 4 other things, and I don't know if they're other books or not. Relationship with other prime deities, physical descriptions of her, individuals who have physically interacted with her, and the champions and avatars of the Moonweaver. And I don't know if that's one book, if that was separate books. That part I didn't know. So.
Yeah, separate books.
All right, so 8 books.
Excellent.
But yes, of course, they are all, of course, written.
Yeah, so Glint's been casting like comprehend languages and just very slowly combing through things.
Yep, combing through things. Incredible. I assume you want to buy these books, or did you want to just like read them while you're here as a sort of like do you want to do like the library thing, or do you want to purchase them?
I think Glint at least want to purchase the ones he was looking into.
Okay. How many books you got?
I believe it was 3 or 4 of them. Let's go with 4.
Got it. Understood. 3 or 4. Okay. Let's see. So 4 of them. I'm going to say that she just charges you 50 gold.
Perfect.
Or, sorry, excuse me, she charges you 50 gold each. Books are not easy to make. Yeah, so it's 25 for like in the equipment section, it's 50 gold pieces for like an empty book, like just any old book.
Mm-hmm.
So with its contents inside, we'll call it 50 gold.
Got it. So 200 gold total?
If you're buying 4 books, yeah, that would be 200 total.
Alrighty. Perfect. Do they also have like the materials for spell scribing here?
They most certainly do.
I'll show out another like couple hundred gold just to preemptively have that in my inventory as like a cost covering.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And as a reminder, you guys are in the Ethereal Echoes shop in the Arcane Quarter here in London. And yes, you talk to the proprietor, who is very happy to pass that along. Her name is Elwyn Starleaf, with this encyclopedic knowledge of the shop, and she's more than happy to provide you these books. Absolutely.
Wonderful.
You know what? I'm gonna take it back. I'm gonna call it 25 gold each. So take 100 back, because the description of book does state that it might contain poetry, historical accounts, information. So standard book price would be 25, and that's what she will charge.
Yeah, I remember that because it's a component in borrowed knowledge, but I figured I'd go with whatever you wanted it to be because they're cool elf books.
Yeah, no. We'll say it's 25. These are just off-the-shelf books. They don't need to be remarkably expensive.
Alrighty. So,
what about you, Yvaine? Please go ahead.
I just had a question regarding the book that was like talking about illusion and transmutation magic in the vein of like gender expression in Larengorn, and what all that might cover and how it might explain some of the things, or how it might provide like a point of view into it, if there's anything of note in that. Yeah,
we'll say once you take like an hour or 2 to sit down and actually start reading it. Well, you guys have been in there all day. It's fine. I'll give you a description. And it's very interesting. There's a number of sections to the book. Some of them sort of detail the like. It's very funny almost to you, because it's like it talks about, you know, how people deal with like gender identity and such in other lands. And they talk about like Craghammer versus Amon versus, and you're like, because you know all about all that. Flip the page. Yeah, it says less about illusion magic. Illusion is for for people who are trying it on, so to speak. They're not making a full commitment, they're trying it on, so to speak. In which it's just like a disguised self. They're like, just what they want to go out into society and kind of like change the shape of their form and, you know, see if they like living in a world where they sort of fit into those gender roles, or how they want to, or how that affects their, however they want to do it. But then it says the transmutation magics are usually performed, and it's pretty open to the public. There is, of course, an expense involved for the actual casting, but nothing like it's definitely something. It's considered a luxury by Lyrangoran standards for people who have such wealth, as body modification can be quite an expensive transmutative endeavor. It's certainly not for the common folk. It is for people who are maybe a little bit more means, even middle class, like upper middle class to and above. Yeah, they just leave it open, and as it continues to speak about ethics, the people of Lyrangoran very much encourage that idea. And it also talks about Seangorn, about how they have similar beliefs, not so much that they use the transmutation and illusion magic, but they do, you know, do begin to change their gender identity, or like let go of gender identity altogether. And it goes into the elven philosophy of that, about how some stick very rigidly to that, and that's fine. And then others, as they progress in years, they realize that's just not important, and that's it's a hindrance to their ability to express themselves how they want to. And it goes into like the ethics of this, and it certainly doesn't give you a description of how the spells work, but it talks a lot about how that works culturally in other lands, how it works here, and it very much speaks from a perspective of like, this is how it has always been, and this is a case study of continuing on with that. But it has certainly been something that's evolved since quite a while. It's been this cultural freeness with gender identity and actual like body transmogrification has been around for hundreds of years. They've been doing this for a very, very long time.
I think Glint will find that very interesting. Like that's probably the most of what he's trying to digest when he's reading the books, especially at his very slow comprehend languages pace.
Right. It's the Bible. You get credit for trying.
Yeah, exactly. He's definitely been spending most of the day trying to read that through all that bit by bit and sort of digest it, I think, in his own way, given that being from Craghammer, I imagine roles are quite rigid there, even with the recent revival of like things opening up and becoming less xenophobic. It's still a pretty rigid traditionalist society for most part.
Oh yeah, very different from how Craghammer runs things. They don't scoff at people who have like who play around with genders, but or not even play around with, but like identify as like a they them or whatever. But it's certainly not as loose and fast as it is here in Lyrangoran, where people like very much experiments. Like there's almost an expectation that someone would experiment, and that there's a time where they would do that and do it again, and do it again, and do it again. But very like, you know, the dwarves are very stubborn and very like, are you sure? Like, you know.
Yeah, I figure like once someone's declared themselves as something in Craghammer, it's kind of hard to take it back, just because between the rigidity and like the social implications and like the tide, especially like to clan as well. Once you're set as one or the other or anything in between in like the gray area of exploring the gender binary or non-binary, it's probably kind of hard to flex around a little.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, why don't you make me a history check regarding Craghammer?
Sure.
Something that might be of interest to
you. History. So I rolled a 9, so that's an 18.
18. So when you were there, it was a very rigid society. You ever seen Campaign 1? Like it starts off with them receiving a letter, and only those with like invitations can actually enter Craghammer, let alone like, live there. But you've been probably keeping up a little bit lately, and you've learned that things have been changing quite dramatically ever since the Chroma Enclave.
Yeah, a lot of people were exiled, right?
Yes, there was a mass exile of people that were considered to be beyond traditionalism and be actually xenophobic or so there's a new Iron Keeper, which is basically the leader of Craghammer, and her name is Pelda of House Zerthor, and she is much more progressive than most past ones, and she's created a large reform of dwarves being kicked out because they're a little like opening the gates to people, trying to bring people in, trying to open up trade, trying to kick out those people that are just downright xenophobic as opposed to traditionalists. She has been met with great approval, especially from outsiders, and no small amounts of disdain from dwarves within, but there's many dwarves who like her way of things. So you know that Craghammer has probably become a different place since last year.
For sure. Which Glint's definitely kept up with, but also hasn't had the force of will to go back to Craghammer since leaving, for reasons. So it's been fun to mull that over.
Definitely like probably news perks your ears up since you've been gone for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Excellent. All right, well, what about you there, Yvaine? You had your hand up.
Yeah, so like just first of all, like take my money. Of course, yes, I'm taking the Scarlet Codex. Yes, I'm taking the book on the Moonweaver as a love goddess. Yes, of course, I'm taking the book on the Moonweaver and the Knowing Mentor. Like, so just like when they fell into my hands, it was done. Take my money.
So 25 each. No problem.
Right. Look, I just can't take all of them, right? It doesn't matter that I have the money. I have to be responsible. I have to remember the things that my mum taught me. So I'm not going to take the book about physical descriptions of her, right? Because she can change that at will. And I don't need to know about her champions and avatars, right? Because that's not necessarily meaningful, right? That'd be lovely other reading, but I am going to take the ones about individuals who physically interacted with her and her relationship with the other prime deities. So that's 6. And then I'm going to ask about, so what I'm doing on the roof and what I've done in my room is very small and humble. But if it had had wings and some ambition, it would have been like Lyrengorn. Like when Yvaine first saw this, she was like, "This is what I was trying to do. Like I didn't do it. If I could, this is what I would have imagined." So, do they have any books on using wood shaping and stone shaping and making architecture and nature work together in a very harmonious way?
Yeah, most certainly a book could be picked out to you that just sort of details, and they don't really consider it like how dwarves do, where it's very much like a stonework, like tool-based thing. It's about like the magic of architecture. They'll give you like a book, and you would come to surmise that like Lyrengorn was not made by like hammer and back labor. It was by magic. As most of Lyrengorn is. So it's about the magic of architecture and how they make the enchantments that combine nature and living spaces and so on and so forth.
So I'm going to take 175 gold out of my money.
Okay.
Because these things have to come home with me. They've almost tripled the size of my library. Also, while I'm here, do they have like paper, pen, paper, ink? I write an awful lot. Is that something that I would pick up here, or would I go someplace else for that?
No, paper, just like basic ass paper and ink, they will sell you as much as you can eat.
Excellent. I will take that out.
Whatever your preference is.
No. I figured as much. Otherwise, I'm going to try not to read because I'll have tons of time on a ship to read and only so much time in Lyrengorn. So when Glint looks done, I'll suggest we find someplace else to go.
Certainly.
Fair enough. Okay, you guys head out. Is there anything else anyone wanted to do on this evening? I imagine Zarvolg, you headed back after your great bear hunt, and maybe having a drink. The wood elves are a little more. They're not as nose in the air as high elves, and they have some ales and stuff. A little bit more, huntery individuals. They're still very pretty looking, but they can have a proper drink.
Sure, yeah, they're pretty, but they can drink and they can hunt. I like it.
Oh no, they're hot. Oh no. And they and then they hang out with you and they talk about some hunts and some of your adventures and things you have done. And it's a stupendous time. There'll be a time, Finch. Oh yeah, go ahead, Zarvolg.
I do have so I guess just so going through, I do have a number of things I want to do like after normal bedtime over the next several days, and I do want to talk to the wild elves, but probably not tonight. After I'll just enjoy the victory of the hunt for now, but I will want to hook back up with them later if that's possible.
All right, yeah, absolutely. They certainly invite you back. They're like, you're pretty cool. Come on back. And yeah, just end up the day, Finch, Nyx, Ember, anything you guys got going on. It's okay if the answer's no. Proceed into the next day.
Yeah, I think no for now.
Just return, have a lovely little dinner, no problem. Nyx,
Yeah.
anything for you, Ember?
Nothing for me.
Nope. Okay, and that's perfectly fine. You guys all head back. Where do you head back to? I got a lot of lore here. But yeah, you guys head back to, I believe it was the Glowstone Inn, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, the Glowstone Inn. Yeah, and you hang out. You have a good time. You all meet back in the center. Did any of you want to chat over dinner, or did you want to just sort of go to bed and read your books and figure out what you want to do for the next day?
Yeah, I think that sounds pretty easy and cool.
Fair enough. Yeah. You all head to bed. You all go to sleep.
All right, I'll take an opportunity here then.
Yeah.
All right. I would, since we're in town and not fighting, I would take the opportunity to switch my attunements a little bit.
Sure.
I'm going to set aside the Gambler's Blade and reattune to the Dream Cleaver.
Oh, okay.
And I would like to first, I guess, this evening, dream visit and I don't remember who this is. You're going to have to help me out. I tried to look it up today, but I couldn't find it. The person who's kind of in charge of the God's Brawl Arena, Quartz Arena in Amon.
Okay, yeah, give me half a moment.
I can't even remember if he was a Goliath or a human. It was a confusing, there were two really big dudes. One of them's running the place and the other one's like the champion of the place.
Yeah, yeah. There is where are you? It was the Goliath. You fought the
human one, right?
Yeah, that's right.
He was just fucking yoked up.
That's right. Yeah, and like your dog bit off like a finger of his, and he was like, "Fuck." Man. Here we go. His name was Thorvin Thunderfist. You can find him in the handouts. I'm going to update his tags. As a note, I'm working on them a bit, but in the handout section there are tags. So if you want to be like Goliath.
Oh, right. Okay. I did not think to look there. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. So I would like to dream visit that particular person.
Okay. You enter into his dreams. You might recall that he is an individual who has visions of the Stormlord. He is
Oh yeah.
yeah, he's sort of like a warrior seer in a way.
Yeah.
And you tune into him. You will sort of find his dreams, and those dreams are racked with storms and lightning, and him standing on the battlefield, sword in hand, and delighting in the hordes that charge him as he prepares to battle.
Oh, okay. I was gonna give us an arena atmosphere, but I guess let's put us on a hill, kind of overlooking an ongoing battle. He and I, a victory, of course. This is a good dream.
All right, he sort of draws his sword back, ready to like swing at the front line, and suddenly he's on a hill. And they're charging down below. And he's like, fuck. And he looks over and says, as I assume you're there, you're like visible now to him.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I'm physically there.
Yes.
So
You, Zarvolg, what are you doing here?
Unfortunately, this time the battlefield is but a dream. However, I just wanted to excuse myself. I didn't get time to check in before I left the city. I'm outside of Iman now. The commitments that I have to to all of my adventuring party, Iman and Tal'Dorei, demand that I spend some time outside of town. So I do intend to return and continue my training, but for the moment, I will be absent.
He sort of squints his eyes at you, like he's trying to understand what you said. And then he kind of like looks up to the sky and he goes, Stormlord, your messages are as obscure as ever. What does this mean? Why is he excusing himself politely?
I'm afraid the Stormlord's not involved this time. I suppose to reframe the message is the storm is on the horizon, but it's not today.
Make a persuasion check.
Is he still in like the full Batman regalia?
Yeah, do you still look like Batman?
he always shows up in dreams mostly naked. like a loincloth, and that's it.
Okay.
Oh,
Nice,
that's a
that's
7
fine.
persuasion.
Even better.
A 7 persuasion?
Yeah.
He's like, it's a most strange vision to interpret. The storm is coming, but not yet here. I get that. Part. But all of this checking in and multi-commitment thing, are you saying that I should, Stormlord, are you saying I should commit myself to something else? I will never abandon you, my good Lord Cord. And he just sort of like yells up to he doesn't seem to, he seems to be trying to find some greater, deeper meaning to whatever it is you're saying.
Yeah, so Zarvolg kind of rubs his brow and he's like,
Sorry, the Stormlord wants you to continue on your path. I simply will not be a part of it for the next several days.
Okay. Banish Zarvolg from the God's Brawl Arena for a couple days. That's what I'm getting. Yeah. I don't know why, but I will follow your will, Stormlord. I will do as you command, but I'll probably check in with the cleric first.
Honestly, that's close enough. Have a good evening.
Yeah, you have a good evening. Yeah. A most distressing vision, Stormlord.
all right, and back out I go.
And back out you go. Somewhere he wakes up and goes, that was as strange of ever a vision I've ever seen. What's it mean? Incredible. All right, we got plenty of nights ahead, so you'll all get your long rest in, no problems there. You all wake up the next morning. Maybe you can go down, have a little breakfast. I think I'll look up your expenses. I believe you guys have already paid for your stay for the next couple days. I think that was already taken care of last session. That's right. So food is going to be, since this place is a wealthy place, it's going to be 8 silver a meal. So I'll cover your food for the day, and a delicious meal it will be. Very dainty, very, not a lot of meat, maybe a little bit of meat, but not a lot of meat. Maybe like a single slice, like a pork medallion atop a great salad, a beautiful, delicious salad. Yeah, surprisingly fun. Incredible. So you guys got a day ahead of you. Is there anything else you want to? Is there anything else you want to do, or you're a couple days out from? You're an awkward amount of time out from the Moonweaver's ribbon ceremony. Is there anything you guys would like to do?
I'll wait, but I do have things.
Okay. Just to give you guys a reminder, I'm not going to go through like everything, but I'll remind you the districts here in Lyrangorn to see if any have appealed to you. There's Luminary Districts, which is the district that you sort of entered through that had the Crescent Conclave Hall, which is the seat of government, the Giant Temple of the Moon, Moonweaver Plaza, so on and so forth. There is the Arcane Quarter, where the study and practice of magic is a hub for scholars, wizards, and those of magical artisanries. There is the Verdant Enclave, a district with lush expanses of forest that are bloom within the mountain where Zarvolg was yesterday. The Sky Swimmers Eyrie, which is where Beverly went yesterday to hang out with the Sky Swimmers, where they do their practice with their wyvern riding and such. There is the Artisans District, which is the creative heart of Lyrangorn. Craftsmen, artisans produce the finest of works. The Seeker Sanctuary for spiritual and personal growth. Various temples, meditation centers, healing facilities. And those are the districts, if any of those appeal to you. I think you would notice that there's you come down this morning and there's definitely like a larger presence of people, not elves necessarily, but people who are coming into town for Moonweaver ribbon ceremony, who are, looking a little dusty, a little dirty, but excited nonetheless. Definitely of the upper echelon of society here in this inn. And what else is there to say? Just simply, Lyrangorn seems a little more busy today. More people are filing in, excited. So, what would you like to do?
All of the names that Glint has been given in terms of like wizards to talk to and also the Mirror of Transpondence are people in Singorn, correct?
Yeah, those are all single. They're way to the south.
Yeah, way. Okay, cool.
Yeah. I'll remind you there was a rumor about some Singornian cleric who's come up here and is stirring up trouble. If that's something you care about. Finch learned about some meditation places and baths and stuff. Next, there's the carnival, which you could certainly return to and explore around and prepare for your big performance that's coming up.
Yes, definitely.
Absolutely. But you know what? It's also if you guys want to just say that your characters go off in the Lyrangorn and enjoy Lyrangorn, we could do that because we do have an awkward number of days before the ribbon ceremony. That's entirely acceptable. It's up to you guys what you want to do.
Glenn's gonna go check out the magic quarter, the mage's quarter. You said, right?
The arcane quarters.
The arcane quarter.
Yeah. All right. You're gonna head to the arcane quarters. Anyone else, or do you guys want to just kind of sort of go off and do nameless adventures?
I'm gonna go head back and talk to the wild elves when there's an opportunity for that.
Fantastic. Yeah, we'll hit that too. Yeah, so when we hit Glint, we'll go to Zarvolg, and as people come up with ideas, you can toss those in there when you want. So Glint, yeah, you go to the Arcane Quarter, and if anybody wants to go with it, I'm sure it's possible. Okay. You come to the beautiful Arcane Quarter where you see lots of cool shit. You see, first and foremost, the Arcanists Academy. You see, as you're walking along, a grand institution where young elves and older elves too, but mostly younger, are taught spellcraft, even young, so young as children. It's also worth noting, you haven't seen a lot of children around. You saw the ones that were like looking at Nick's doing their performance, but it's not a lot. There's not a lot of children around here. It's only been a handful since you've ever been here, which is less than you've ever seen. But yes, the Arcanists Academy, where you see it probably features, you see like various boards that describe it, extensive libraries, lecture halls, practice arenas, very cool stuff. You continue along your way, you see the crystal spire off in the background, a whirling sort of wizardy tower that looks to be made of ice, so crystal. And there's also the Mystic Market that has markets full of those who purvey magic items, potions, rare spell components, all bought and sold here. You see,
yeah.
You were here. Yeah, you saw that last time you were here, I believe. Ilaris's enchantments for enchanted jewelry and accessories. Glimmer's potion for specialized elixirs and magical potions indeed. And Runestone Repository offering a wide range of magical runes and talismans. Are just some of the cool places around.
The Runestone Repository sounds very interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, could Glint go check that out and kind of see what all is in there, what it's like? Because rune magic sounds very neat.
Absolutely. Okay, the Runestone Repository. You approach this building, and it is intriguing as the treasures within. The building seems to be constructed from a dark ancient stone that is adorned with golden runic inscriptions that shift and change periodically as you approach the doors. The runes seem both decorative and probably functional to your wizarding eye, serving as protective wards and enhancing the magical aura of the shop. And above the door, the sign has carved in enchanted wood, reads something in Elvish. It is elegant and a glowing script. And as you enter into the interior, it is a sanctuary of ancient magic. The air is filled with a faint hum of energy, and the walls are lined with shelves displaying and showcasing a vast array of magical items. You see a number of things in the main room. There's a runestone display. There is enchanted talismans. There is mystic artifacts, arcane lightning. Is there any of those four things that appeal to you initially?
You said mystic talismans sound pretty cool.
Mystic. So there's enchanted talismans and mystic artifacts. So do you
Let's
want the
go
talismans
with
or the artifacts?
the talismans. Artifacts sounds outside of my price range.
And I will say, when we talk about rarity is like an artifact word, but artifact is also like a general, just like magic item. Okay. You see a section of the shop dedicated to enchanted talismans, each imbued with a specific magical effect. And the talismans are crafted from various metals, including crystals, metals, rare woods, and often adorned with intricate carvings and inlays. If we want to get specific, I will tell you about some of the stock.
Absolutely.
Let's see here. Talismans. All right. Come on, baby. Oh, shit. Okay, there's a number here. Where to start? Roll me a d8 to see which one you happen upon first.
That's going to be a 3.
A 3. Okay. You approach a beautiful talisman that is, let's see here. It's a silver sort of necklace, and the actual amulet is silver and turquoise. There's almost a sort of holiness to it in its appearance, something that was made by those who, practice divine magics. And there would be a description of what it is. It's called an amulet of protection from turning. While wearing the amulet, you have advantage against saving throws and effects that turn the undead. If you fail a saving throw against such an effect, you can choose to succeed instead, and can do so 3 times, recharging daily. Each time the effect turns an undead is used against you, the amulet glows in silvery blue light for a few seconds. And in this moment does sort of pulse with that expectant blue energy you expect because of the runes enhancing the magics, but very useful to an undead entity.
Interesting. I'm curious who they're looking to sell that to.
You expect that this place is as much a place of selling as it is a museum.
Curios and yeah.
Yes.
He'll carefully put it down, like respectfully, and just kind of keep like indulging curiosity, admiring the craftsmanship of different pieces. He's happy to keep looking through the different items and just kind of see what all is there. But
yeah. If that's the case, you kind of like look past that, move on from the talismans, and move on to like rune stones and whatever. If you want to look in a specific section, you let me know. But in this moment, you're approached by the proprietor at last. You see this very old elven individual, which immediately grants him some respect. You see this sort of silver growing in his long, perfect hair, and he approaches you and says, "Andran Atishan, Dwarren. I am Ren Stoneweave. I am the proprietor of this shop and master rune carver."
Good day. My name is Glint Grimhelm. I was drawn by the exterior and decided to linger a while and look over the works here.
Most certainly. I'd be more than happy to show you around. We have much to display, including we have many services that are offered and a couple of special sections that we reserve, such as we have a library with distinct and special ancient lores. We have an interactive display of various rune examples, and we even have a rune carving station where you might try your hand at the craft yourself.
Interesting. And if one carves runes, I apologize, it's not a particular set of spellcraft that is my specialty, but are these runes in Elvish, or are they different linguistics? How does it work?
Oh, no, my friend. Let me take, and he sort of like takes you along, and he says, "No, you see, as much as I'm sure we elves would like to claim the title of the great rune crafters, it is in fact giants who possess such skills. The great rune carvers of the world are giants, and their magics are very exceptional, peerless. And in my youth, I studied with all of the different types of giants and seen their great holds across the land and learned what they have to give. And I've even acquired some of their relics here in this very shop."
That is quite fascinating. I have to admit, I've never had a chance to study any sort of giant spellcraft. I've never really had the opportunity.
Well, they're not quite the same as me and you. He peers at your book and says, "A wizard, I expect?"
Yes, indeed.
"I see. Well, they are the sorcerers and mages and wizards. I'm sure could be classified and defined as we do here, sorcerer, druid, and such. But they are quite unique in their runecraft. Quite exceptional. Let's see here. If we could find something that might... well, let me show you one that the giants have done, and I'll show you one that I have modified with my own elven magics. And he will take you to the side, and he's going to try and show you some stuff. Some shit. Let's see here. with me. Okay, so he says, so for one that is quite good, let's see here. Oh yes, how about this one? And he is going to pick up a rather fine brass war horn engraved with a giant rune and glows purple. He says, this is known as the war horn of valor. It invokes the rune of war, and with it many things can be done. But for this one, it can frighten your enemies, but also help your friends turn against such frightening things. And the use of invoking such runes can call forth a deeper magic from the primordial well of giant power and protect you. And that is what a giant I knew produced, and he taught me the enchantment. So here it lies, and he puts that down. And then he's going to go over to another table and produce something, and he's going to say, I made this one myself. I studied dwarven runes alongside the original giant primordials and adapted it to elven magics. You, my dwarven friend, might recognize it. And he is going to produce a rather beautiful spear. There is a number of runes down the haft of the actual weapon. And something about it sort of tingles your brain. You're like, that you recognize something in it. He says, oh yeah, go ahead, please.
I know what it's gonna be, but I don't think Glint would immediately make a connection there. That is fascinating. Yeah, I'd love to make an Arcana check. That's gonna be a 21.
You are aware of a magic item that is very famous amongst the dwarven people, known as a dwarven thrower. It is a war hammer that you throw at your enemies and it returns to your hand. It's a prized weapon amongst the elven or the dwarven people. Mm-hmm. This has very similar runes inscribed upon it. And he sees the look in your eye and he says, I see you recognize some of the incantations. This is what I call the elven throw. Indeed, you throw the spear and it returns to your hand. It deals a little extra damage against giants. As I know your people do have their animosities from long histories of fighting giants.
I'd say so. That is fascinating. So you adapted the actual fundamental rune work to, I imagine, be suitable for an elf to properly attune to its energies and make use of it. Is that so?
Most certainly, indeed, adapted to recognize the elven people. Only an elf could attune to such a fine weapon.
That must have taken you ages, but truly that is phenomenal work, sir.
It took me 100 years to master it.
I hope to someday be able to spend that length of time myself and drop a mastery of something.
I've no doubt you will, my dwarven friend.
Would you mind if I asked you a few questions today, if you have the time, just to take a few notes on the subject and collect some thoughts on it? If you,
most certainly, absolutely. And he'll be very happy to sit down with you. He makes a little pipe for himself, and you can ask him some questions about runecraft. He'll describe to you some things that might interest you, picking books out of his lore library and describing to you that the original crafters of runes were giants. But little known to peoples that back during the Calamity, or before the Calamity, the dwarves and giants had a great sort of like racial feud. And many giants were slaying the dwarven kind. And the dwarves sort of sacked their cities and stole from them the power of runecraft. And dwarves do not have... it's very secondhand, so dwarves have adapted it to them, but they've lost the purity of the craft in their process. And so dwarves are known to work rune magic into their craft, which is where they're renowned for smithing comes from for some magical items and such. But yeah, and he remarks that and says he studied with both dwarf and all giant kind. And you expect that this is a master of many hundreds of years of study in runecraft. For his death would mean the end of a great store of expertise.
It's really cool. Glint is mostly, I think, gonna spend at least this vacation day, and probably a good bit of the rest leading up to the holidays, just tracking down like cool spell writes and craftspeople, and just kind of like asking them for effectively academic interviews to take notes. I'm happy to have a lot of the bulk of that be off screen though, in the interest of time. But he's gonna probably spend a good part of the day just asking. Was it Ren? You said was their name? And
This individual's name is Phelan, which is Faelan Stoneweaver.
Phelan Stoneweaver. Okay. You're going to ask them a exorbitant number of questions,
and
probably for the next few hours.
And he is an elf of many hundreds of years who's more than happy to talk about his craft, and relays much information to you, and maybe even recommends some books, and takes you over to the where is it? The custom rune crafting section. Sort of like shows you like trying to give an example. So when I was in Italy recently, not recently, a little while ago, but I went to a place called Murano, which is known as the island of glass, where the greatest masters of glass blowing live in the world. And you try glass blowing, you're probably gonna hurt your hand, and maybe you might be able to make a kind of shitty vase by the end. But when I was there, I saw a man, one of the great masters there, demonstrate, and he had been glass blowing for like 50, 40 years, something like that. He made a perfect glass blown horse in 2 minutes flat. Perfect. And that's what this guy did. He's like, oh yeah, I'm talking about the craft and whatever like that, and you're like working it over, and you're like, oh, like if I actually want to make this item, it would probably take like several days to figure out. And he's like, oh well, if you do that, and he starts like talks about it, but there's no way you can keep up with him. He crafts like an uncommon magic item with his bare hands in like 2 minutes.
Terrifying and impressive. And I think at some point Glint would settle away from the rhythm of like trying to keep up or trying to do it by his own hand, and more just like actively study and watch and kind of do his best to learn from someone who is 100% better at this than he is and he may ever be, but at the moment is absolutely someone to aspire to try and like learn imitatively from, or at least learn some notes from. Yeah, so I think that's going to be a lot of his afternoon. He's in nerd heaven basically.
Absolutely, and it's and people come up to him here and there, students and such. You get the sense that this individual is a person here in Lyrangord of miraculous dignity and respect. He is not just some shopkeeper. He is probably sought out by great experts across the world for his knowledge of runecraft. He is probably the leading expert on it in the world, other than, of course, giants.
Yeah.
Maybe not even some giants, as he's acquired from all over places. Anyway, so that's what Glint. You do absolutely learn something about rune crafting, which is an exceptional art. Anybody else have anything? It doesn't have to be as extensive as Glint's. It could just be very simply, like, go here, do this. But feel free. Yvaine?
So she's been trying to flip her schedule so she can be awake at nights. Can we go back to the same night because I don't know where we are in time. Can we go back to the same night that Zal was doing his dream, because she was going to go to the observatory? Figuring that she would have to sleep during the day, but having gone stars.
Yep. No problem whatsoever.
Thank you.
Okay. You head out to the Seeker Sanctuary, this place of temples and meditation, healing. And you come to the Starfall Observatory. Oops. Hang on a second. Okay. Here in the Secret Sanctuary, you find the majestic structure that is the Starfall Observatory. Out as you approach it, you marvel at the architecture, blending seamlessly with the natural landscape of Lyrenborg. The building is constructed from polished white stone and glows faintly under the moon. It is a design that reflects both elven artistry and celestial inspiration. The dome itself is the central feature of the observatory, large, silvery in its appearance, and houses what you assume to be the main telescope. It is adorned with intricate carvings of constellations and celestial patterns, which are inlaid with shimmering gems that catch the light. You assume this might be the most magnificent star map you've ever seen. The towers that are flanking the dome there are two slender towers, each topped with small telescopes and magical instruments for observing the heavens. The tower also serves as a lookout point, which probably offers a breathtaking view. You also see as you approach gardens, surrounded by beautiful landscaping gardens filled with nocturnal flowers that bloom under the starlight, much like at the Temple of the Moon, and enchanted pathways that wind through the gardens, leading you to the entrance. A place of quiet contemplation. As you enter the interior, it is a harmonious blend of the scientific equipments and serene space of reflection. And the atmosphere is quiet but contemplative, inviting visitors to explore the mysteries of the universe. You see a number of things in the main hall. You see a celestial map, large and magical like the night sky, displayed on the ceiling. There are star charts and scrolls, shelves lined with these ancient charts, dating probably back quite many hundreds of years. And you also see many astronomical instruments equipped here and there that you don't all necessarily recognize, but some you do. Enhanced and enchanted lens, sextants, astrobles. This is clearly a place where they do not take the exploration of the celestial lightly. You will be... Yep, go ahead.
No, sorry. Just, trying to contain my excitement.
Okay. Absolutely. You will be approached by a woman, an elven woman, who is in just like, a fine robe, nothing too complex. It's rather humble. What am I talking about? This is Lyrenborn. A sweeping robe of starlights, decorated in blues and silvers. But there is a number of things about them that are interesting. Scrolls from their hip, maybe like an earring that is like a little like moon totem. And as many elves are, she's very beautiful, of course. And she sees you and kind of approaches you and says very quietly, good evening, miss.
And I'll respond in Elvish, because I don't get to use my Elvish very often.
She's speaking to you in Elvish, absolutely.
I'm perfect. Yeah, I will say, yes, I'm visiting. I'm only in town for several days, but I've sort of interests with the stars, and she'll pull out her star map and like I've just kind of started my journey in work, but I thought maybe I could learn some things if people did any teaching and such.
She smiles at you and she pulls out a little scroll from her back hip and unwinds a intricate and beautiful star map, much like your own, except quite advanced. And she says, I was not aware that there was a circle of the moon outside of Lyrenborg. Or circle of the stars, excuse me.
Oh, yeah, there isn't. I just sort of came upon this. It's actually a big reason why I'm here. I learned about this place in Westron.
I heard they had an observatory there. How fascinating. You just picked it up. Well, I suspect that you might be a savant of nature, I expect. Well, it's good to have you here. Welcome. I assume you know where you are?
Yeah.
Well, I am happy to make your acquaintance. I am astrologer Alara Star Whisper, and I am the Archdruid of the Circle of the Moon here. Or Circle of the Stars, god damn it. The Circle of the Stars here. And we do a great deal of work mapping the astrological teachings of the Moon Weaver here, and it's good to meet you.
It's good to be here. My name is Yvaine.
Yvaine. Well, it's a pleasure to meet you, Yvaine. Come, let me show you around. And show you around she will. Just shows you the main hall. She'll point to some of the things you already saw. The sweeping celestial map on the night sky. She says, the map is updated in real time using illusory magic, showing the current position of all stars and planets and other celestial bodies seen through the observatory. It's how many of the druids are able to keep their star maps up to date with the current celestial patterns. And she'll show you many of the other worshippers, and they don't look like druids, like they're not in like wild robes and leathers and furs, but druids nonetheless. More seers than not.
You mean like druids like me?
Pretty much, yeah. Sort of, yeah, academic druids, so to speak.
I found my tribe.
My tribe.
Hold on. Fine. Hurry, get up here.
She says, well, I'm not going to stall you then. Why don't we make our way into the planetarium? And then I'd be happy to show you our observatory if you're interested.
Yeah, Yvaine's. I like to think Happy's in his full academic hipster mode right now.
Happy's got, he has changed out his Alabaster Lyceum like college gear to, oh god, what's this place called? To like Starfall Observatory, like he's already been to the gift shop, and he's just got like a foam finger and like a beanie, and he's just happy. He's just happy. Incredible. So it takes you to the planetarium, which is essentially a massive lecture hall. You see many scholars. Nobody's quite as decorated as the astrologer you're talking to right now. But you see, many people sitting in the lecture hall quietly. There's no lecture going on currently. They're looking up at the roof, where you see a massive projection dome. A planetarium, the dome ceiling that magically projects the night sky in 3 dimensions. The space is gorgeous and sort of immerses the entire space. She'll take you on from there once you've had your eye fill of the various students there. And as I had said before, Lyrangorn is a city of elves, and elves don't sleep quite as much as anybody else does. So the place is still bustling. But it takes you into the observatory room, where you're going to see a couple of things. The first of which is the main telescope. A massive telescope is housed here. An impressive piece of elven engineering and magic, completely different than what you saw in the story. It is mounted on a rotating platform, allowing for precise adjustments within a wide range of motion. You see, they do have, like, as you saw before, they have like the sort of turn handles, but there's like 10 of them, ranging from like a massive one that needs 2 hands to like little ones that dial like this, and they're all connected to the seat. You see there's one elf sitting in the seat, leaning back and sort of looking through, has his hand on a little dial and sort of swivels it around, and the entire thing just like a little to the left, and then he comes up to the side, sort of like focuses the lens. A very precise piece of equipment. She invites you up to the observation deck, adjacent to the main telescope, and you peer out into the open air to see smaller telescopes on those side towers looking around, viewing. And you also get a splendorful view of not only the starry night sky and the slowly emerging ribbons of the Moonweaver combing over each other in blues and greens, but you also see the massive frozen ice scape outward, and it is beautiful. And she smile, and you catch her smiling at you here and there as your almost childlike glee comes through. And once you've had your eye fill, she'll invite you over to what is a lounge area here in the observatory. It is a comfortable seating, cushioned, arranged area where it's a relaxing space. This is a very hippy dippy college shit over here, where it's got like the bean bags and the egg-shaped chairs and shit. There's some people sitting around having like a hot tea and talking with one another, and she invites you over to sit and by the enchanted lanterns that mimic the glow of distant stars, and says, "Well, what do you think of our observatory?"
I think this is the most magnificent thing I've ever seen. Actually. Yeah, I didn't know there was anyone else who did this. Honestly, most people have been very confused, about being an academic druid.
They are certainly a rare breed up here today.
So,
I expect you're here for the ribbons?
I am. But I'd like to study, if I can.
We offer a variety of educational programs here, most certainly. No doubt we would be most excited to have you in some of our workshops. Is there anything you're interested in particular? We have basic astronomy, advanced star mapping, more advanced magical properties of celestial phenomenon courses.
Advanced star
Yvaine
mapping.
leaves the campaign and becomes a student.
Oh no! Oh God, guys, that's a problem right now. I don't even understand how much of a problem that is. Yeah.
Comes back at level 19. It's like, I graduated.
I have a lovely cleric in reserve.
Glint has a premonition involving horrible student loan debt.
Oh. Never mind. I'm good. Thank you. Man, that was like a shot at Everclear, right?
Actually, Lavengorn believes in free education. How do you expect
Oh, no.
us to all be so practiced in magic? It's government run. It just seems logical. If you want to have in an intelligent society, you have to ensure that it's made available.
The gods, they have benefits.
Absolutely. 100%. Are there any courses that that work on divination, on turning towards the stars specifically for divination or such?
Oh, most certainly. We have a host of events that we serve here. There's the obvious stargazing for the general public, but we have we also hold special events where we observe celestial events and celebrate their significance and study their occurrences, such as meteor showers, eclipses, certain Moonweaver's ribbons coming up very soon that include lectures and guided observations and rituals dedicated to Moonweaver. We also do astrological readings to divine certain futures for individuals.
All right.
Yes.
So, can I say yes to everything?
You most certainly can. It would take some. You're required to enroll, of course.
I definitely, if there are any classes or anything concerning the Moonweaver's ribbons coming up, I definitely want to do that. If there's anything I can do over the next week concerning developing my star chart, my star map, I would also like that. And if there are offering personal divinations, I'm sort of at a place in my life where I could really use one.
She says, well, why don't we have one right now? She says, we do offer such star readings. I could perform one for you now. It is a cost of 10 gold pieces.
Not a problem.
Okay. So we accept the 10 gold pieces and say, like, you know, they're gonna wait for a second. Oh yeah, he's gonna take you over to the guy, or the elf, who's sitting in the actual telescope. Wait for him to sort of stretch and lean back and kind of look over. He says, "Ah, astrologer Star Whisper, good to see you." A little bit of an older elven individual, not druidic as far as you can tell, no sort of totems, perhaps of a different magical discipline. And Lara says, Yvaine, allow me to introduce you to astronomer Aralith Moonshadow. He is our chief astronomer here at the Starfall Observatory, and respected for both his mastery in the scientific and mystical aspects of the celestial art. He says, he smiles, seeing your like big smile. He says, "I see. All right, another recruit for the observatory. Glad to see it." She says, "Actually, Yvaine was hoping to get a reading." He says, "Well, excellent, fantastic." And then he'll go into asking you a number of questions about, you know, the day you were born, what time of night you feel strongest, and what your favorite color is, all kinds of shit like that. But mostly like stuff to do with like your birth and like where you were at this time and so on and so forth. And he spends the next 10 minutes sort of wheeling around and adjusting his telescope, and he says, "So tell me, Yvaine, what is it that you would like to ask the Moonweaver?"
What's my best path forward? There are a few things I can pursue right now. I'd sort of like to know which one serves Exandria the best.
Let's see, he sort of looks through the stars and he says, very interesting. You are going to meet a stranger very soon, one that the Moonweaver has granted her personal blessings. You are taking a pause on the side of this road, but this individual will bring to you a fate that you did not expect, but one that Exandria requires you to follow. So be on the lookout. In the next couple of days, you'll meet this stranger, and they will guide you to a fate worth following, one that the Moonweaver ordains.
All right.
With that, Yvaine, you are going to... Are you aware of what a divination portent is from the wizard subclass?
Above the table, yes. As
Okay.
Yvaine, I don't know.
Don't worry about Yvaine, just you, as long as you do, friend. You, my friend, have received a 15 portent as part of this interaction with getting your reading done. This will be available to you for the next 24 hours. And with that, we'll say, to your great surprise, maybe a number of hours have gone by and you find yourself like feeling your body getting a little exhausted and you're like, ah, shit. Or at least some of the elves beginning to sort of pack up and prepare for trance. And it's not shutting down per se, but certainly the majority of individuals are leaving. And he says, well, it was wonderful speaking to you, Yvaine. Will we be seeing you around?
Absolutely, I'll be back. I should go. I have to sleep. I have to sleep.
Of course, I forgot. I sometimes forget that sleep and trance and all these things.
Above the table, I would like to make a quick observation. Was anyone in here Merkelfen? Merkelfin.
Merkelfin.
Drow elf.
No one went here was a drow as far as you could tell.
Alright.
Maybe we should have made you roll, but
No. That's
Yeah.
I'm perfectly fine with that.
Cool. Yeah,
They're
you
in the
look
city
around.
somewhere.
You see
I'm gonna
no,
find
you see
someone.
no drow.
Yeah.
Looking for someone. Okay. We will return back to the next day.
Absolutely.
After
Thank
Yvaine
you.
has slept alongside of all of you, no problem. Yeah. So, Glint has gone off. Rune looking at. Ember, I saw you looking with interest.
I do, and this is going to be pretty short. I can encapsulate it pretty quick. I am hunting for 3 pieces of jewelry.
All right.
I'm hunting for. I'll go above board because it's faster.
Yeah.
I'm hunting for 2 rings of swimming and a bauble tiara of some kind with continual flame.
I would say you would find both of those in the runestone repository. You might bump into Glint looking for these, as this would probably be the best place to find such things. Indeed, you might find those. Those are both uncommon items. Well, continual flame. What level spell is that?
Level 2.
Second.
Second level, okay. So yeah, these would be both all considered uncommon items. For the sake of ease, I'm going to say they have them in stock. And I'll say that you can make the total purchase for, let's call it, they give you a deal and call it 1,000 for all 3 items.
While we're doing ring shopping, there was one ring, if it's sold in the same building, perhaps, that I wanted to check whether or not it could be available. It's from, I think, the Book of Many Things. It's called A Ring of Puzzler's Wit.
Ring of Puzzler's Wit. Very interesting. As a flavor note, Ember, those 3 items are, they do have like giant runes on, like and it's pretty cool. It looks like something from ancient times. Okay, let me see. I'm gonna roll to see if he has this in stock, because this is a little more unique.
Yeah. It's Adderall in ring form.
That it is. I am gonna say you probably expect Gilmore might be more. Maybe you saw that in Gilmore and you're like, "You have it?" And he's like, "Well, I'll tell you what, he doesn't have it, but he says I can make it."
If you could, I'd be immensely appreciative. To have something that you made would be an honor, honestly.
Well, you honor me as well, Dwarf, and I will be more than happy to craft something as such. And he will charge you. We'll call it uncommon ring. He's crafting it himself. We'll call it. He says 500 gold pieces, and he'll have it made for you the night before the ribbon moon. So not tonight, but because today is, let me see here. Yeah, so he'll have it made for you and finished by tomorrow night.
Awesome. I will shell out that money here and now for that.
Fantastic. All right. Incredible. Anybody else got anything to do today? Zarvolg? Oh, I've still been playing in the Spotify track. My bad. But yeah, go ahead there, Zarvolg.
All right, there we go. Yeah, so I'm going to try to return to the Hunter's Lodge with the elves. And if I can try and track down and gain the attention of Anaris Oakenbrook. If he's not available, I suppose anyone will do.
Yeah, make me a little insider investigation check to see if you can track him down.
All right. Oh, look at that. Huh. I critted on tracking down an Aristocan.
The moment you appear through the teleportation circle, he's standing like he's like first in line to have like be using it or something like
We're
that.
like, ah!
He's like, oh my god, I kiss. No, he's very surprised to see you. He goes, oh, Mr. the Grim, it is good to see you again.
Yeah, so Zarvolg will actually start out a little humbly, and he'll be like,
all right, listen. So, I've been in Iman for an interminable number of days. And then we came here. And you guys seem a little earthier than your average elf in this city. So, if you don't mind, I thought I might be a little bit more comfortable spending my time out here.
You certainly not need my permission.
All right, well, if you have some time, or if anyone does, I'd like to talk a little bit about what I've seen. It's been a while since I've had our particular perspective on things.
I see. How interesting. But we would be more than happy to hear you out. We, as you might have noticed, our high elven cousins down below, they're not much of warrior people. No, even the wyvern riders are dancers and not warriors. They rely on we hunters for protection. Not that they require it much here in the dusty, snowy north, but if you have things you wish to tell us of, well, you have our ears.
Right, well, I suppose the most appropriate thing. Oh, do you have some time now?
By all means, you rolled an nat 20, right this way.
All right. So I suppose the most appropriate thing is that we've seen some things outside of Westerin. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the area, but some unnatural happenings in the wild there.
And he'll go on to explain, the problem with the Ankeg that were, seemed supernaturally affected, and the fact that everything there that was evil just kind of seemed riled up, and there was an undead uprising not far from there, and the fact that the woodlands, like at the foothills of Gat Shadow, seemed to be disturbed, and specifically he'll try to steer the conversation to the fact that he felt like there was a problem in the Gat Shadow area, and ask if they have any particular insight on that.
He would speak and say, how interesting. The world seems so flared up these days that there is claiming to be danger left and right. I must admit to you, Mr. Zarvolg, that we here in Lyrenborg, we pride ourselves on our neutrality. We have no enemies, and we don't have many friends either. We do not involve ourselves in the affairs of others. So, if you're looking for support against Gat Shadow, you will not find it here. But there's no small amount of lore and knowledge here. If you wish to perhaps attempt to learn more, you could. I am a hunter. I am no researcher. I have no doubt that the Lighter and Elf and below, the High Elves, certainly have their stores of knowledge. If you are looking to research, they could probably tell you more.
I suppose I was looking less for learned knowledge and more for instinct. I've known some elves, not completely unlike you, in the Riven Mist, a free people called the Orion, and you sort of reminded me of them in a way.
We have heard about Orion sister tribes way deep in the south. We occasionally get word from Lyrenborg about the troubles in Riven Mist. Most concerning. You've been very far south. I suppose it makes sense. I know that your kind dwells so deep in the jungle. We're not unlike, I think, our southern cousins. They are too wild elves. but certainly hunt in warmer grounds than me. If you're looking for a ranger's instinct pertaining to this Gat Shadow place, I would say that there is something in the heart of that mountain that is corrupt, something that is evil, something that ruins the nature around it. Nature as it needs balance, and when things that don't belong in our world are introduced, it creates such things, dark places, harrowing feeling ghosts. Evil is more likely to persist. The source is probably something within the mountain of Gat Shadow itself. That is what I would think. At the root of the cause is certainly probably in the roots of the mountain.
That was sort of my feeling as well. As a younger ranger, I suppose I was seeking a little confirmation from someone with a little bit more honed instincts.
But there's one thing I've learned as a hunter, is that if you mean to slay your quarry, you mean to root out evil or whatnot, you must delve into the deepest heart of its cause. That is usually where the pit can be extracted, that gnarled thing. It is often the most dangerous thing to do, but when has it often not been that the easy way is not usually the right way?
Agreed. All right. Well, then I suppose there was just one further thing. Knowing and respecting the fact that you've chosen and committed to neutrality. I certainly have my own interests in the South, but I respect the choice that you've made. So there's one further thing, a little bit closer to home. The Wyvern Riders. I saw an orc on the way here. To be honest, I did not particularly measure the distance, but with a body slung over his wyvern as he rode. I was wondering if that scene, something like that, sounds familiar to you. Is that something we would expect to see? And also, what you could tell me of wyvern riding in general and in this city.
Oh, I admit there has been some squabbling about a theft in Lyran recently, pertaining, I think, to the Sky Swimmers. I did not know that an entire wyvern had been stolen. We don't usually have many orcs up this way. It's not unheard of. It's not many. It's quite possible that this orc that you saw stole one of the wyverns. I don't know what much to say about it. If you wanted to learn more, you would have to go speak to the Sky Swimmers. He sort of like looks up at the ice-domed roof and says, yes, we wild elves, we don't do much flying here in our sort of hidden habitats. That is more for the Sky Swimmers. I recommend you go talk to them. I'm sure they can tell you more about the wyverns than we.
Certainly, I definitely will. Recovering stolen items is somewhat of a specialty of mine.
I'm sure they will be most happy for the aid.
All right, then for the day, I can't promise that I won't be back during my stay, as I have to admit I do find it relatively familiar here. But for the moment, I'll excuse myself. Happy hunting.
And to you as well. And he'll bow his head. Yeah, it's kind of sort of like stand up and go find some of his buddies, and I'll probably go out for a hunt today. Of course, that's all they do is hunt. But they're happy to provide the meat necessary to sustain Lyran. Anything for Nyx? Anything for Finch today? Nothing for Finch, nothing for Nyx. Okay. If there's nothing, and Yvaine, I expect you to find your way back to the observatory, perhaps. They might not be looking at stars during the day, but they're certainly having courses.
There are a few things that I would like to do. I don't have to role play them out, but I'd like to.
Yeah.
I did them and spend the money. Do you want me to send those to you, or do you want to talk about them now real quick? Or
No, let's talk about them now. Let's get them out of the way.
so, all right. Above the table, last session, you were talking about Smith's tools, and it got me thinking. I love the way you've been doing skinning off of survival, and I'm not asking for a change, but it does seem to me that, especially based on her success, that she should have tools specifically for this thing.
Right.
Now, Jewel at one time had a sickle that gave like a +2 to skinning or something like that. I don't need something to attune to, but is there such a thing as artisan's tools that are pretty nice to work with, but also maybe give advantage on that particular role? I don't even know that it exists.
You could certainly have something commissioned. It's not something that is it's a practice done around here quite well, as there are the wild elf hunters that provide a lot of the sustenance to Lyranborn down below. Yeah, if you wanted to go out and try and hunt down like a special set of skinning tools, we most certainly could.
There are two sets of tools. Sorry.
Okay, what's the other?
Navigator's tools, and these would be a gift for Shuku. So,
yeah, navigator's tools can be found easily enough at any old shop. If you want to add those to your inventory and mark off the gold related.
But like really, really nice. Like I would like to invest in something that's like beautiful.
All right. Tell you what, give me some time to like look through some magic items. Because I just want to see if there's anything particular.
I think it was like silver plated with like a moon lotus on the center of it or something, but just something. This is clearly a place that they do things that are beautiful, so I would like it to be practical and beautiful. If it's magical, great. If it's not, just some gold to spend. Happy to spend it on gifts. Winter's Crest is coming. Winter is coming. I must buy things.
I think I'm going to say for now that if you look around, to the best of your observation, you find like people that are, like you go to the artisan's quarter and they sell gorgeous like skinning knives, fine sextants and such like that, but nothing like magicals. It's like you just get a flat bonus. But hold off on that, and then let me sit back and work with that for a little bit, because I want to hand out cool stuff, not just like, here it is, you get advantage on it. You know what I mean? It's a little cheap. So let me see if I can't find something that's pretty cool to hand off. But
also
you certainly
willing to say I commissioned it, and we can come back to it.
Right.
The only item I could think of that would be analogous for just reverse engineering would be like the all-purpose tool for artificers.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I was thinking something like that too.
Like I don't even know if it's possible, which is why I'm able to say I would happily buy skinning knives and hooks and things for Yvaine, just to say that I have them, and something pretty as a gift for this guy I like.
God. Tell you what, why don't you purchase like the basic sets, and some of the things you're describing are more like people are like, it's not really like they're like the people around. It's very artificer. It's very artificer what you want out of them. Like tools isn't really the speciality. So they're like, and people either don't know really how to go about enchanting it, or don't like really want to spend their time like enchanting a tool.
Okay.
But hey, maybe I'll surprise you somewhere along the line of this. But for now, why don't you go ahead and mark off both sets, and we'll say that you just found like really fine, masterful versions of those. And why don't you add like half onto the price, and we'll call them like silvered, like artisan designed, fantastic examples of the craft.
Perfect.
And now you have
so yeah.
Now you have the tools to actually be a Jack the Ripper. Good on you.
I guess so. Yeah, they marked you down in the blacklist. They're like, bought a weirdly intricate and obsessively beautiful set of knives. Of course, skinning flesh. Very strange. Report to authorities. Oh wait, there's no authorities here. They don't.
I would have at some point asked, because Ember said, hey, if you want me to find anything, ask me. So at one point I would have said, hey, somewhere there's a drow settlement here. And you're really good at finding things out. Do you think you
I'm
can
happy
find
to
out
ask.
things? Yeah.
So here around the end of the day, as all of you have had the opportunity to get some stuff done, maybe we'll say Nix, you returned to the carnival, did some practice, did some setting up some tents and such, and got ready for your big performance coming up in 2 days. And all of you make your way back to the inn. You are all going to be approached by a mysterious figure. Yvaine, it's just like they said it was. Yes, a most peculiar individual. Boy, I don't even know how to. Well, actually, Finch, you've seen this individual before, coming out of the governing hall. I would try and describe this individual, but they are so unique and hot that I am just going to send you a picture, and we'll call it a day. So if everyone wants to go look in the Facebook chat, this is the individual that approaches your table.
Oh yeah, the masked, the cleric type person.
Yeah.
I wonder what they're going to say.
The individual approaches your table. This individual bows deeply and says, I was told that you are the Aurora Concordant, yes?
Somebody already, sorry, above the table, somebody already witnessed this individual somewhere else earlier in town, right?
That was Finch, yes.
Yes, that is us. Do you need assistance of some kind, or?
I had thought to enlist your help, if you wouldn't mind, hearing what I have to say my plight. I've come from very far and have a great purpose here in our northern sister city.
Northern sister city.
Singorn of the Verdant Expanse. I come here at the behest of the Moonweaver herself.
We are certainly more than willing to lend a hand if we can. Can you tell us more about the particular nature of your
Most certainly.
your sojourn? This is a mighty long way to travel, so I'm assuming that it's of significant import.
I believe it to be. Does not sit, but and stands very sort of, not rigidly, but very sort of just like, just stands before your table. There's no like leaning or anything, just very sort of neutrally.
Stoic.
Yeah, sort of stoic, but you don't see much behind the mask. And says, indeed, I am the leader of a obscure Singornian sect that is responsible for the worship of the moon. And it is we who believe that there is a darkness, there is a cancer in the air that needs investigating, needs scouring. I had heard long ago that there were reports of tunnels of darkness under this frozen north that require investigating. There are things here, not of this world, that might require their destruction, purging. I do not know if it is a creature or a thing, but there is something that must be investigated, perhaps retrieved. For the Moonweaver's light does not dance upon it, and it is my job, it is my responsibility to enact her will upon Exandria. It is her will that balance and safety be returned to it. I would ask that you help me in this excavation. I was led to believe that well, certain circles understand that you are quite good at underground expedition.
Have there been any confirmations or even specific stories of where we might find these tunnels?
Yes. Some ways south of here, I have talked to a small band of drow refugees who have been here for some years and more of a ride recently.
As soon as he says that, Yvaine steps forward.
He looks at you fairly mature.
My name's Yvaine.
He will bow his head and say, "My name is Nalys Ildareth."
To meet you. So there is something aberrant in the mountains. And I know this
Oh, wow.
because my mother led those people. She led those elves out from the Underdark about 50 years ago. She's in Terra. It's a good ways away.
I believe I met with you on the way here. I traveled through the mountains some distance and happened to be quite lucky to have fallen upon such an individual.
You met my mom? Oh, that's great.
Yes, she
All of a
told me
sudden,
some.
you're a big dork.
Yeah. Nalys doesn't seem to relent in that sort of neutral, serene exterior. He says, yes, it was indeed your mother. She was quite helpful in explaining events that had occurred long ago, but I have reason to believe that whatever issues that she had been dealing with have inflamed since then, drawn closer to this city in particular, which is why I am now here.
Well, at the very least, I'd be happy to look into it. Not that I speak for everyone.
Oh no, yeah. I would like to speak to the drow if I could, but yeah, whatever you need, I'm in.
So,
One day I'll get to study, but yeah, I'm in right now. Let's go.
Color me fascinated. I'll tag along.
Happy, get your mitts on.
says, we may indeed go now, if that is your prerogative. Though I expected that you might all be here in town for the Moonweaver's ribbons, I was led to believe that you were all on vacation.
Right, we were vacationing, weren't we?
It's my birthday. It's all right. It's like what, 5 days?
He bows once more, or excuse me, they bow once more, and say, "Then I am terribly sorry to have imposed myself on you during this time of leisure."
Oh,
Is
you
this
are
a
no
task
imposition.
needed in immediacy, or is this? I mean, not to be callous, but if it's been an ongoing issue for some 5 decades, perhaps 5 days might not tick down the clock.
No, this is not, as far as I am aware, immediately pressing issue. I would certainly not wish to stand in your way if you wish to take the next couple of days to continue to enjoy your time, and would be most happy for your aid after. Whatever fits your time. But I intend to, as you have said, make this sojourn deeper beneath the frozen caverns beneath Livengorn, perhaps deduce the purpose of this inflammation.
Yeah, absolutely.
That in
So
the
far as
wake
I'm
of the
concerned,
festival. Oh, good.
so far as I'm concerned, Yvaine, we're here as a checkmark item for you, but this falls within all of your purviews. So I will let you set the cadence and timing as far as I'm concerned.
Has there been anything recent that suggests that we should leave right immediately?
There is no immediate danger to Lyran Gorn or its people, if that is what you mean. As far as I am aware.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to seeing the Moonweaver's ribbons. I've always wanted to see them.
Then please, I implore you enjoy your time of leisure and celebrate the Moonweaver, as I intend to as well. And perhaps once the ceremony is completed, we may then investigate together if you are still willing to aid me in my plan.
Would you be so kind as to find us after the ceremony?
Yes, and thank you all for your understanding and aid during this time.
Of course, so we should make preparations for another underground expedition of some kind. Have you explored the caves at all? Do you know anything about the terrain? Anything we should expect or prepare for?
I intend to speak more to the drow refugees who arrived recently and garner such information. Perhaps I will know more once the Moonweaver ribbon ceremony is completed, and I can tell you what my findings are thereafter.
Can I go with you, please?
If it is your pleasure, certainly.
Yeah, please.
Just very well. When would you like to go? I was intending to meet with them tonight, as they do not appreciate the rising sun that is harsh on their eyes.
No, I understand, of course. Yeah, this evening then. Right.
He will bow once more and says that I will come to collect you at the appointed hour, once the sun has gone down. Thank you once more for all of your aid. And we'll look at you, Glint, and say, I hope it is not too forward to say, but I had learned of your company through a mutual acquaintance of ours.
You've spoken with the High Speaker.
The voice of memory, Westra. Yes, she told me of all of your plans. She had been speaking to the Council of Amon and had learned of your journeys through them and suggested that I seek you out. So I hope it is not inappropriate for me to have enlisted your aid.
No, not at all. Personally, I'm happy to provide help to Singorn, and this seems like a matter of some import and dark magic potentially, or some other sort of aberrant thing, and both of those I'm happy to aid against.
Indeed. Very well. I shall collect you soon then, Yvaine.
Did she say anything else about me?
She said that you were an intelligent individual who she had the pleasure of meeting through a mirror.
Both factually correct.
Said you
wonderful.
belonged to a company most capable.
So I do. Excellent. All of these things are true. Very good. I'm glad. I'll make my preparations.
Westra sends her regards and hopes to meet with your company soon. She made some remark about how she had hoped that your vacation might have been further south, but all the same.
Well, the bucket lists and all. Hopefully, I'll be able to make the time to visit Singorn myself soon enough.
Very well. You'll make one final low sweeping bow, and we'll bid you all fond farewell, and we'll leave for the time.
I mean,
Yes.
it wasn't just me. They were pretty hot, right?
Oh yeah, no.
Oh, extremely.
As he leaves, and maybe she's kind of quick to do it because this is the first time that she's seen everyone. She pulls her sickle out to lay on the table. I haven't actually read it yet, and I don't speak the other language that's on there. But what I will say to Ember, because he had talked about being on my purview, and I will say, I went to the observatory and commissioned a divination. It was suggested that literally a mysterious individual kind of gesture at the door was going to lead me on the path that I needed to be on for the Moon Weavers' reasons and for the good of Exandria. So, yeah. By the way, what does the Elvish part of it say? Because I don't read Celestial, but I can read the Elvish part at least.
I can read Celestial.
I'll tell you what it says. Give me half a moment. Days in the city, they're so difficult. Let's see here. The Elvish portion says, seize your destiny, and the Celestial portion says, do not despair in darkness.
YOLO.
YOLO? Yeah, that's the last part, YOLO.
Wisdom of the ancients.
Live, laugh, love.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
so this happened a couple nights ago, and then last night I went to the observatory and this happened. So yeah, you know, and it was my mom that led the people up. I kind of wouldn't mind putting it down, whatever it is.
That makes it all the more important then.
Beverly goes, oh, good. I mean, I don't know if this is like a thing, but I haven't really been able to sit still. Been danger, 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 and now we're just supposed to have fun. It's been good.
You
A little bored.
One gets acclimated.
Oh, wait, well, but you went to the Sky Swimmers Arena, yeah? Is that what you did today?
I know it was wonderful. It was so good. I'm just not used to all of this not working.
And you almost all the way died last time.
I know, it was terrifying and kind of exciting.
Zarvolg.
I totally get it. I totally get it. It's really not healthy, but I get it.
Okay, I'm glad I'm not.
You've been
yes, dwarf.
That is me. Also factually correct. A whole litany of truths tonight. You've been doing a lot of hunting lately, yes?
Well, yeah, not as much as I would like to, but yes.
In the vein of preparations, if you come upon an excess of bones and something else's body, do let me know. And
oh, I'm sure I can obtain those. I honestly had a full bear carcass the other day, but I'm pretty sure the elves used it.
Oh, such a shame.
I have commissioned a set of skinning tools, and one of the things will allow me to take meat off bones with better accuracy. I was thinking about that, needing to sort of upgrade my techniques.
There's a lot of words for removing the flesh from something. It's kind of odd when you think about it.
The wild elves here are relatively friendly. I'm sure I can get them to allow me to hunt again and bring you something back.
If you could, I don't need any, a mountain of them or anything, but a few would be helpful.
Sure, you want a variety or certain size?
Probably a variety. It helps piece everything together with a bit of creativity.
Understood.
Right. Sorry, Nix, you're coming along with us. How do you feel about skeletons?
They're very, very fun. Very interesting. I enjoy that kind of thing. I'm a spooky lover.
Oh, excellent.
Oh, this will work so well.
I think we'll get on fine then.
I'll tell you what, Yvaine. About your wanting advantage for skinning stuff. I was thinking of a whetstone. I was like, why not just use a whetstone before we do it? We're just using your knife over and over. Maybe I'm just thinking out loud. Never mind. Please continue.
Okay.
I'm working on it over here, is all.
And
Like
you know
a
something?
magic sharpening
I am
stone.
very grateful. It's just like she really has invested a lot of effort into skinning things, and we've benefited it. So it seems like she would invest in tools for this thing that she's done throughout the dog is wearing things that she skinned, for the love of God.
True. It's true. Okay.
And she's a bougie bitch, so of course she's had fancy tools.
Yes. Sorry, was there another question that I just missed out, or is there something else? My apologies.
I think we're set.
All right.
Yeah, no, I wanna dream visit again before we go to sleep, but other than that, I'm good.
Okay. You guys have another lovely meal. Sit around and have a nice night, some drinks. And yeah, before the night's out, Zarvolg, you may send another dream.
All right. I always forget her name, the mayor of Westeros.
Oh, she's also a Goliath. Got a thing for the Goliaths, huh?
I do love dream visiting Goliaths. Yeah.
Lysandra Kalos. Her name is Lysandra Kalos.
I
Right,
too
yeah.
love giant women.
Big lady.
I too am a fan.
Hashtag muscle mummies.
Hashtag
Right.
muscle.
She is kind of the ultimate muscle mummy if you've seen that picture of her.
Correct.
Truly, Glint is so blessed to be 4'6".
All right, you use your dream cleaver powers to peer into her dream. You find her basically dreaming about what is she? We'll say that it's a little early that she isn't in a dream yet. She's just kind of in that sort of dark space where there's no dream that's formed as of yet.
Oh yeah, she's saying stuff out loud that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, those.
All right. Well, she's actually been through this a couple of times before, so hopefully it won't be so shocking to her.
Yeah.
So I would put us, I guess, sort of in somewhere that she would recognize on the outskirts of Westerun, facing north toward Gat Shadow.
Uh-huh.
Comfortable day, warm, breezy, and standing there beside each other like we had been all this time. And I would say, hello, it's me again.
Oh, it's you. Right. What's wrong now? Is there an undead army, a dragon,
No.
a demon? But what now?
Nothing like that this time. Fortunately, we're a ways away, and as sworn and recognized defenders of Westeros, or Westerun, I thought I should check in. Also, I've been bothered since we left about the feeling that I got emanating from Gat Shadow.
And he kind of like points out, against the horizon to the big, like creepy, weirdly formed mountain, and says, have you, when we were in that area, there were the undead uprising and the problem with the Oni and the Wizard's Tower, in addition to some issues out in the wood. Have you noticed anything else of concern since we've been gone?
She thinks to herself. She goes, no, let me think. No, nothing new to report. You and your band have caused quite the stir. We're always dealing with the Ravengers out in the Dividing Plains, and the Bramblewood remains as spooky as ever, but certainly no more miners dead on the road from ghosts, and no undead armies or incursions or anything of the like.
Well,
Things have been a lot calmer since you've all made your way through.
I will say that is very welcoming to hear, and just bear in mind that the members of the Aurora Concordant do keep Westeros in their hearts. Westerun, sorry.
Oh, I see. That is good to hear. And please tell your allies that Westerun is always ready to welcome them home. If they would think to call us a place of home.
Enjoy your rest.
Thank you, Mr. Zarvolg. Thank you. Sure. You leave her where her dreams are basically going like, did I miss something? Like, should there be something wrong? Like, he was asking. She starts to, like, second guess herself a little bit. She's like, maybe there's something wrong. But no, you leave her. And, yeah, you've done well. Done well. Okay. A little later that night, as the sun has gone down, the stars have come out. A certain cleric of the Moonweaver reemerges, and will say to whoever's present, Yvaine most certainly. Does anybody else have any interest in going to meet with the Dark Elves?
What time is this?
Late, early evening, just when the sun's gone down, basically.
Yvaine, would you like company, or would you rather have this be a personal moment?
No, I yeah, please. And she'll literally grab Zarvolg by his chest. She's like, I can't believe you were thinking of not coming.
Oh, me? Yeah, no, I wasn't gonna come. Okay.
No, I was definitely
Idiot. And obviously the I can't believe you were thinking about not coming and you're such an idiot. We're in undercommon.
I don't know. Okay.
And growls at him. Grabs him.
He's like, he's just.
And then in perfectly polite calm, she goes, absolutely.
No, wonderful. I'll be right along. Such a lovely language you two converse in. So animal.
Which, by the way, I meant to mention this earlier. Since they've been in Lyrengorn for probably the first time, I guess ever, except for the Undercommon, Zarvolg has been making an effort to speak Elvish whenever speaking to elves. So,
You like that?
Yvaine will keep speaking in Elvish then.
Fantastic. I will say, as a general thing for me as a DM, I'm trying to work more, and as maybe some of you already know, I'm trying to work more on playing with language, and I'm trying to find different, maybe real world languages to sort of supplement those or use various contents. I will say I have been actually, I'll send a link if anyone cares about it. I
care about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I don't care terribly for the 5e Elvish. It doesn't roll off the tongue.
The Lord of the Rings, Sindarin. Do you like that?
No, actually, I've been using, if anyone's aware of the Dragon Age universe, I've been using their Elvish. So if anyone cares, I will send you guys basically like a little dictionary of various phrases and stuff. Yeah, exactly. But that's what I've been using for Andorana Tishan, very Elvish there. But I'm working on it, and I'll let you guys know as we go along. For example, I think Sylvan's going to be Gaelic. Scottish Gaelic is basically going to start.
It makes a lot of sense.
Sylvan,
Yeah.
Norwegian is giant.
What do you want for Druidic?
I'm working on it. I'm kind of starting to work on it, but I'll let you know as I go along. Start picking.
Yeah, I'm here for all of the languages.
I don't know if you've seen my chats, but someday I want us to have a game where I play a rogue, and I want you and I to do a really good thieves cant together.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what, Zarvolg.
Are you gonna do it like
super secret? Maybe some of you have caught on here and there with my different rogues. I do have an actual like 3-page document about Thieves' Cant, which I've tried to do with different rogues. So that exists.
Listen,
don't-
I'm just saying there's going to be a new campaign on Saturday. He does have a rogue worked up for one. I'm just saying we don't know. 4 people are dying to know. I love you. I love you, Ryan. Look, this is for you.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I got you. I got a lot on my plate, but I intend to.
No pressure. No pressure. Love. Nothing but love.
Yeah.
Nothing but love.
Yeah, not to nerd out too much, and really, fictional languages aren't really my thing. But my master's is in cognitive linguistics, and I spent I spent most of my time working for the U.S. government as a linguist. So languages are certainly one of my big things. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Well, I'm gonna try and implement like I don't know. I'm gonna see what works. See what languages work with different like fantasy languages. Like definitely doing Norwegian for giant. Definitely think I'm going Gaelic, which I think is cool. Like Fey or Scottish. That just makes sense to me. When I hear that in my brain, I'm like, yeah, like like Titania, sure. But anyway, returning back to the game. So we got Glint, Zarvolg, and Yvaine who are going to be following Nalys Ildareth to the drow community. I'll post his name in the chat if anyone wants to spell it. Their name, sorry, I second pronoun, I apologize. It's one of my great flaws. Anyway, all right, moving right along. So you 3 will begin to follow this individual. You see, they're holding it in their hand there in the picture, but you would definitely see it sort of like between their shoulder blades, this like very elegant weapon, this like cylindrical razor blade with a handle right in the middle. That seems
like
to be
a chakram or like a...
It's exactly a chocolate. It's exactly what it is. It's a very finely crafted blade, and you expect magic to it. As they begin to make their way through Lyrengorn. Yeah. They just kind of walk fairly quietly. Not like in a non-talkative or awkward way, just sort of like they definitely like look up at the stars and just sort of enjoy the walk. It's not like an awkward quiet. It's just like it's a respectful quiet, is what it is. But you don't expect that they're not amenable to conversation. You walk. But eventually, you are going to come to the northern slopes of Lyrengorn. You come upon a refugee community, a small enclave nestled into the slopes of Lyrengorn, close to the ice-sheathed forest beyond. Let's see. It seems to be, it's definitely not a slum. By no means is it a slum in any way, but it's certainly not as nice as the rest of Lyrengorn. In fact, it definitely seems like a minimal amount of work has been put in to make them home. But I say minimum by Lyrengorn standards. They would never, you get the sense that the Lyran Alphen would never create anything that was not beautiful. So as much as it isn't like towering crystal spires and ice scapes and gorgeous temples. It's simple for the Lyran Alphen, which is to say, very high class for a human city, but still a little bunched up. The Dark Elves here seem to be somewhat self-sufficient, moving here and there, talking with the High Elves, who's sort of like walking up and down the High Elves. You expect they get the hospitality and support that they require, but little else. You find yourself quickly walking into the common area of the refugee, the central square. There's also a temple off the side, which is kind of a little darker looking, but definitely has symbols of the Moonweaver on it. There's a central square, which is not as nice as Lyrengorn's, but it serves as a sort of town green, if you will. No green, but it serves. They seem to have some farms, animal pens. There's some holes in the ground that seem to like artfully lead down and where you hear various animal sounds, sort of like farm animal sounds a little bit. it's much more simple than the way that the Lyran Alpha live. It is in a place fused with magic and integrated with nature. It's a refugee community, to be certain. Now, Nalys walks through and says to you all, I have had set up a meeting with one Velara Nightshade, who seems to be the leader of refugees. They seem to be fairly wise and may know more about the new influx of refugees.
Sounds like the person to meet with.
You guys walk along, and you find yourself meeting with. Been a while, Vivian, since you've seen a pure drow, so your mother. And that one strange individual with the wyvern on the side of the road that we don't talk about. And yeah, that's right. But this individual, you see, you heard about this from your mother, that the drow civilization is very matriarchal. And so it makes sense that you see this drow woman, as usual, the long, silvery white hair, perfectly straight. She has very sharp features, red eyes, very striking. You would know that in drow society, drow women actually grow to be stronger and taller than drow men. Sort of reverse of today. And she's dressed well enough. She's not like in garb or anything like that, but not in tatters either. But fairly simply dressed. There is a sort of officialness to the way she dresses, formality. Nalys will approach and bow and say, Aurora Tishan, Velara Nightshade. And she will say the same as well. And says, welcome. It's good to meet with you, and I see that you have made some friends, Ildareth. He says, yes, these are adventurers who intend to aid me in my investigation of what has transpired with your people. And we demands that safety be brought forth. We cannot allow the carnage of Katha the carnage of Ruidus to ravage these lands. And says, yes, very well. She'll bow to all of you and say, it's good to see you all here. You have questions?
Yeah, so our plan is to assist following the festival with Nalys's descent and investigation of the tunnels. If you have refugees from there, could you tell us more about what drove you out from them? What the tunnels themselves are like?
Yes, of course. I have been here quite long, about 50 years now. I am not with the most recent batch of refugees that flooded in to our little community here.
Does it seem to be the same?
Sorry?
Does it seem to be the same thing as was 50 years ago?
She will sort of nod slowly and say, similar, maybe not the same. It's difficult to fully compound. If you would follow me, I intend to take us to Balvara Moonshadow. She is our high priestess of the Temple of Shadows. She has been dealing with the refugees quite certainly and knows slightly more than I, or at least more firsthand. But we believe so. There is something dark and aberrant in the tunnels below, but what has occurred quite closer to this place than what happened 50 years ago. You see, when I was much younger and came here first, we were driven out of our city, which was quite a ways south, I believe, in the Underdark. We traveled quite far to make it here, merge out of the Underdark. This occurrence happened much closer to the Underdark portions near Lyran. So, perhaps similar, perhaps different, but similar threats and aberrant one at that.
Do you fear that whatever is causing it is either spreading or moving towards the surface?
It has been 50 years. It could be the same thing. It could be a spawn of what befell us so long ago. It could be another creature entirely.
But you do believe it is a creature of some kind.
Yes, that much I am fairly certain. As we had spoken, there was a creature, and that creature was described to. I don't know much. You'll have to speak to High Priestess Moonshadow, but from what little I remembered, there was some speak about many eyes.
Concerning.
Yes, concerning is the word. Right this way. And at this point, you guys enter into that sort of dark temple place in the common area, which is known as the Temple of Shadow. And you walk in, it is Moonweaver-esque, but it's not so full of brilliant silvery lights as the Temple of the Moon that you were in, Yvaine. It seems too much focus on the darker splotches between the stars. It does indeed have an array of stars in the moon, but it definitely focuses on the darkness between as well. It is a place of meditation. It is a place of worship for the Moonweaver. It's also a place of hope. And you see that there are many in here that aren't just sort of like peacefully wandering, but many who are sort of tired, sick, gaunt, distressed, even, perhaps from their recent voyage. It says, it has been some time since the voyage, but some still feel the effects of the labors of the voyage that they had to make to get here. Apparently, it was a very difficult journey. Another figure will approach you, and this one is similar, has that sort of blackish purple skin, a little bit more darker than Vilra. Darker purplish skin, still with the red eyes, has a much more sort of like, I want to say fierce look, much more sort of like piercing eyes than the kind eyes of the leader. Still the long white hair, maybe some braids actually incorporated within. And
Yeah.
she... Yvaine starts crying. My beautiful drow hair. That is hilarious. But approaches all of you and will similarly say, Ondrana Tishan, and she will extend to you, say something else that's really cool for sure. Nope, never mind. I thought there would be like a cool in the name of the gods or something. But she does say to you something along the lines of, may you be safe under the light of the Moonweaver, or in the darkness of the Moonweaver. She would say the darkness, and say, so these are the ones who intend to aid us. Then, Velra, she says, yes, about the occurrences in the Underdark. Well, certainly. This individual says, I am Thalvra Moonshadow, High Priestess here at the Temple of Shadow, but I ask you, has Vilra not spoken of the Omens? Vilra will say, smile a little deflated, like, almost as an exacerbated look, like, this is important, or this is kind of... but Vilra says, you haven't. How interesting. Nalys will say, Omens? What omens? She says, a fellow cleric, I'm surprised you have not heard them yourself. Prophecy is the realm of the Moonweaver, one that should be adhered to closely. We have had strange and dark omens that have not been taken seriously here in the Temple of Shadows. He will gesture. Please continue. He says, the omens say that there is something strange going on in Lyran, that there is perhaps a plot of darkness, of grief coming during this actual ceremony. It is to my belief that someone means to take advantage of the solace of the ceremony and commit great distress upon perhaps the priestesses or even the sky swimmers themselves. I do not know. It has not yet come to pass, but the omens seem to suggest darkness will come when the Moonweaver ribbons come. Vilor will say, yes, by Priestess Moonshadow, but these things are highly interpretable. Of course there will be darkness when the Moonweaver ribbons come. It will be nighttime. And Thalindra will say, no, I suspect not a darkness in literal sense, but in metaphorical sense, there is a conspiracy. I have great belief that there is a conspiracy of murder, perhaps even. One that should be taken serious. And Velra sort of have tried to speak to those of Lyringborn, but they don't seem to share in your feelings. You must be misinterpreting the omens. The High Priestess sort of scoffs.
If
Yes, sir.
there's who do you think is going to be murdered precisely?
She says, I am not sure entirely, but someone of significance to the ceremony, which is why I believe it to perhaps be the priestesses, maybe disguised swimmers, maybe even the High Priestess of the Temple of the Moon herself. I do not know. But something, I believe, someone, some people who are relevant to the ceremony itself.
And how would one... It seems very difficult, just given it's a very public situation. Would there be a purpose for it? I mean, sorry, Yvaine, you're more of the omen type.
Yes, true. It's a little more my province. And Yvaine will step forward.
You do? You do so? She looks at you. High Priestess.
All right. You've seen this in visions.
Prophecies, omens, divinations, and such. I've spent much time in meditation and would not suggest such things lightly. Bill.
Of course not. Have you any idea where to begin a search?
No. No, I do not. But I will say this. The omens began when these refugees came from the tunnels, flooded into this place. I was tending to their needs and felt I had taken too long without singing my prayers to the Moonweaver, and, well, that's when the omens began. I investigated them further as the days went by, as the healing of the sick and the labor of the travels began, and discerned more and more. It is only but a thin veil that I see through, but I do see through it. And I do see that there is a plot in Lyringborn, I believe. There is great darkness to come. Zarvolg?
Yeah, this whole thing. So most of the time when people are talking and we're in a group, a lot of the times Zarvolg will just kind of zone out because he usually doesn't care. However, not even the murder in this case. But there are a few things. For one, he has an affinity for dark elves. But also he was told earlier on a few months ago to be listening and watching for a high priestess, and now there have been two mentioned. We're standing before one and another has been mentioned. Also, he's particularly sensitive to displaced people, refugees, especially children, who seem to be streaming through here right now. So I'm not looking for anything in particular. I guess I'm just saying that in this specific instance, he would be particularly sensitive to anything he might pick up, probably actively rather than passively.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Let's make a check. I'll also say, Yvaine, you're getting close to running out of time for that portal, that 15 point. Just so you know.
Yeah, I was. Go ahead.
Cool. I just wanted to give you the heads up. But for you, Zarvolg, I want you to make me, let's call it a history or investigation check.
Give it to him.
All right, you roll a 15. What's your bonus?
Oh, my bonus is 0 on both of those.
Well, there you go. You got a 15. Zarvolg, it's not usually your thing to like look into the past or frankly to be that empathetic. You're fairly like
Right.
bored in the vision when dark shit's happening. Like, oh, there's a plot to kill people, and you're like, oh. But you look around the church and you can't help but have like a bit of a flashback to maybe when you were your brief time at the Orient, maybe your brief time in Singorn, where similar refugees of the war were recovering from their trials with the Iron Authority. And you can't help but feel like that young Zarvolg again, and looking around at all of the devastation and all of the lives that have been torn apart, and you can't help but remember that young Zarvolg wanting to be able to do something, right? Or maybe even today.
All right. Good enough.
So in this moment, you unlock the power of empathy. Thanks to the Moon Maiden.
Yeah, thanks to the Moon Weaver. I love her. She's
The Moon
so
Weaver, sorry, not the
nice.
Moon. God damn it, Salune. Leave me alone.
Sorry.
No, yeah, you're not Salune. I'll tell you what, as you guys are sitting around here and sort of like looking at the refugees and deciding where to go next with this sort of like the leader being like, yeah, we'd like to go in tunnels and deal with the aberrant nonsense. And then the high priestess saying, you need to keep an eye out for the moon reaping ceremony because there's going to be some dark plots about. You guys are figuring what to do next, or what questions to ask next. Let's take our break. It's about that time. Let's take a little 10-ish minute break, and yeah, we'll be back very soon.
Cool.
Yvaine and Glint stand in this elven refugee, which, by the way, you would have seen on the sign coming in, has been dubbed Shadow's Respite. That is what the drow call this little settlement, Shadow's Respite. And you, so you stand before the leader of the village, Velra Nightshade, and the high priestess of the Temple of Shadows, Thalindra Moonshadow. And these two clearly are a little bit at odds about these omens that the high priestess oversees.
Would Glint be able to? I'm not sure what all, because I mean, we're working on omens and a lack of evidence. There's not really anything for Glint to investigate here, right?
Yeah, you might find yourself a little like at a loss, Glenn, because you're an analytical person. You're a scholar. You're an academic. You're not like omens and prophecies. They don't do much for you.
Yeah, he got those out in his like 20s mostly.
You're really into like charged crystals in his 20s.
Yeah, something like that.
And then got into necromancy. Much more logical.
Yeah, much more reasonable. Well, I don't want to discount the value of these omens and prophecies of yours, but it doesn't give me personally actionable information to build a theory off of, or something to properly plan around. Have there been any events lately in town that might give credence to these concerns? Any stirrings or unusual occurrences or things of that nature?
Tal'Dorei, the high priestess, sort of like scoffs as you sort of bring up the idea that there's no evidence to be had. Vilra, the leader, will say, we drow are given the hospitality of the high elves, but they do not often like to see us in town, and that's quite fine. They come out in the day more than the night, and we vice versa. But well, I've brought up the concerns of Tal'Dorei to some individuals in town, but waved off more than not, or that they said that they would look into it. But we certainly haven't been brought in on any sort of investigation.
Interesting. I mean, it is fully possible that there is some shadowy organization at play here. There's been similar situations before, and it's wholly possible for a small cell or group to operate beneath the notice of the general machinery and machinations of the city.
It's wholly possible, but the Crescent Conclave, they really don't. They said they would deal with it in their own right. I'm led to believe that the Crescent Conclave largely believes in their neutrality as their major defense. They do not instigate issues with others. They do not aid with the issues of others, and in turn they make no enemies. They rely very heavily.
So
that won't work with kinds of things that lurk under mountains. They won't care about the neutrality.
Or is someone trying to push them out of neutrality and force a reaction, potentially?
And nor does Moonshadow, it seems, who similarly sort of like looks agitated. Nalys looks at Moonshadow and says, "You are certain that these omens come from the will of the Moonweaver herself? These are her omens bestowed to you here in this very temple, in these sacred hallowed grounds?" The High Priestess says, Yes, I promise you, good cleric, that these are valid concerns that have been raised in this very temple to me by the powers of the Moon Maiden. I am her cleric, and this is her will for me to know this." And Nalys says, and I am her right hand. I am to enact her will upon Exandria. And if you claim that there is some threat, I will use all in my arsenal to try and suss it out and see if I can't get to the bottom of this before the moon ribbon ceremony. The High Priestess says, "Thank you. Yes, please go. Make no mistake, we drow, especially those who have come recently, we want to see the Moonweaver's ribbons ceremony completed today, now more than ever. There are many here that believe it's going to be of great aid, that it will cleanse whatever darkness has prevailed the land. Perhaps that is it. Perhaps these cultists wish for this aberrant nonsense to continue and fear the power of the Moonweaver during this time."
Now, if these are cultists, do you have any inclination of who they might be serving?
They both shake their heads. They say, "We have no idea. Perhaps the entity that had attacked the drow that have come here recently. Perhaps them." All I remember is that they spoke of some say one, some say many entities that had many eyes.
Would that ring any bells for Glint? I know it's a very vague one. Like, there's plenty of monsters that one can hand wave that off as, but
yeah, I might not be able to hand you a check for that one because there are many creatures and monsters and lore. Yeah.
Do you have anyone that survived a first-hand account witness of this that we could speak with?
She gestures widely to the temple as you see like the many sort of here and there. and says there's many in the village as well. Our numbers have doubled since they're coming.
In the first
Wow.
wave, there was a ranger named Lorinda.
They sort of both blink, almost surprised to hear the name. Oh, bear with me. There we go. The other row will say, yes, she was the ranger who led the first of us here to Lyringborn and disappeared one day.
Yeah, she's in terror. She's my mom. Anyway,
Oh. That's... but they both just kind of come back. It's like this person that they thought was dead like 40 years ago. They're like, oh, you're her kid. That's... they just let a little shock in the moment, that's all. But they go, oh, well...
yeah.
Well,
So
yes.
I've never actually been able to get her to talk about what happened under the mountain. Is there someone who will perhaps be more candid?
Make a persuasion check.
This is what I was hoping to save the 15 for.
Oh, instead you gave it to Zarvolg so he can learn about empathy.
Maybe 15 total with my shiny new +1.
15, not bad. They say, yes. Velra will say, I was a part of the attack. Well, we both were, really. Most of anyone here in the retreat could, anyone here in the respite could tell you that day, very long ago, similar things. Creatures with many eyes. There was also a number of drow who betrayed us. It was an attack from within at first, and many died to these treacherous drow. Admittedly, with some reservation, I tell you that has been the drow way for a long time. I'm sure nobody thought much of it at first, this sort of strange betrayal wave, but it was nonsensical. There was no political or power-based gain to be had from it. It was just, and Moonshadow will say slaughter. It was just slaughter for no reason. Vilver says yes, and the next day came, and similar to what the refugees describe now, a number of entities poured forth from the Underdark. Entities with many eyes. No one really seems to be able to discern what exactly it was that attacked us, much like the refugees here, other than the fact that whenever they turned to look at the creature, they just saw dozens and dozens of eyes.
On that note, when was the most recent wave of refugees?
It was about a month ago, thereabouts, getting on to be about a month.
And they were from a separate community.
Yes, much closer to Lyringborn, the Underdark. They had traveled for about a week, but certainly more than we did 50 years ago. That was a matter of some months.
This meeting is like in the middle of the temple. It is about as public as it can get, right?
Yeah, this is not a very private conversation.
So Glint will just kind of nod, like he is putting something together that might be a theory, but he's not going to say anything. It's not like he's playing anything like deceitfully. He's just holding something close to his chest here.
Got it. Make me a deception check.
All right.
Appreciate the description.
Yeah, so including the +1 from my luck stone, canceling out the -1, that's a flat 10.
Okay. Some eyes wander your way, but the thing that we forget about in D&D is that when you think someone's not talking, or even if you think they're lying, you can't really say anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, what are you thinking about? Nothing.
Exactly. They're not gonna.
Or are you lying to me? Or I think you're lying. And it's like, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess
He's
that's
just thinking about something.
I think you get some eyes from the two drow ladies. They're just like they felt like you were gonna say something you don't, but they leave it be.
Out of character.
Yeah.
Because this is something I could probably roll for. What deities do drow typically worship outside of the Moon Maiden?
Religion check, sir.
Already. Not bad. I mean, it's an 8 on the die, but it's a +9, so it's a 17.
A 17. You, my friend, have heard of. Let's see here. You know that there are drow across Exandria. You've heard of some drow across the sea that worship some kind of non-deity, kind of deity, weird quasi-deity idol thingy. But here in Tal'Dorei, much closer to home, with that role, you have heard whispers of a massive drow city somewhere in the Underdark under Tal'Dorei. Nobody's really sure where that is exactly, but it's supposed to be a city of thousands of drow that worship Lolth, the Spider Queen, who is the patron of drow amongst the betrayer gods. They're, the drow, those drow who, drow are generally, here in Tal'Dorei, drow are still generally considered like evil, bad, marauding, monstrous, bad people, right? There's much like in Forgotten Realms. Maybe not quite as such, but still, drow are treated with great
caution, I imagine,
with immense caution when they are seen. Yvaine, you've gotten some slack as you've gone around as you're a half elf, but the drow people are treated with a great deal of distrust because they are known as a violent, raiding, basically antichrist-like people. Right? They worship like one of the betrayer gods.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's why Mum told me to say that Dad was Earth Genasi, and that's why I was purple.
Right.
There it is.
I mean, honestly, I think it's a very nice color. It's sort of a lavender, sort of candy colors.
No, I'm totally cute, but yeah, Mom was real serious about it. I guess that's why. Evil Spider Queen, good to know. Looks at Zarvolg thinking about turning into a spider.
I know exactly what your purple skin means.
And then you look, and then you look past Yvaine, who very much looks like a cute chibi elf kind of lady, to like these drow women who have like deep, like angular features, like glaring red eyes, like blackish purple obsidian-like skin, like white hair. They're very dramatic and intense-looking elven individuals. They're sort of like they live up to their name, dark elves. They're not cute. Let me put it that way.
I think
Beautiful
I might
in that
have
sort of step on me kind of way.
I think I might have a working theory, but it's not something I'd rather bring up in a public forum. If the concern is there are agents operating in discretion to cause bloodshed.
They both nod, their culture very much signifying and agreeing with that assessment, just even amongst their own people, especially amongst their own people.
Do you have a private meeting place, an office of some kind?
Yes. Oh, most certainly. And they will take you to where are they going to take you? Yeah, they take you to like the back chambers of the High Priestess.
So, if the concern is that some new threat has arrived in Larengorn and is intending disruption of these rituals to is it the Moon Maiden or the Moon
Moonweaver?
Moonweaver. Sorry, now I'm mixing up Sunday and Monday, or Monday
Yeah,
and
it's
Tuesday.
holiday.
I don't want to say this in a public space, one, for safety, and two, because if I do, it's going to simply come off as me blaming those that have fallen victim to misfortune, and that is not my intent. But as you say, there was treachery by other drow amongst the first wave that came. Is it possible, would you think, that some followers of other gods have infiltrated it and gone amidst the second wave of drow?
I think Thalindra Moonshadow interrupts you and says, "You mean to ask if there are drow amongst this new wave that perhaps are of a traitorous heart?"
I am asking this, yes.
It would not be something I would put past the realms of possibility as much as I am sure a drow crime would like to commit it. These last 50 years have been somewhat rehabilitating, shall we say, under the light of the Moonweaver. The drow society is rather cutthroat, and he looks at Ildareth, who sort of, you can see in her face there's agreement. We have been needing to be cautious amongst our new refugee friends. Lyrangorn has been surprisingly hospitable to us, but, well, drow culture isn't. It's very Machiavellian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know him. He was an old drow philosopher.
Machiavelli. Let's see. Well, and of course I'm not going to go shouting the notion out in public, because it would only invite further danger for those that are, one, here in the purest of good intentions and in need, and two, if there's any hiding among them, it would encourage them to go to ground, and if there's not, it would encourage harm to come to the innocent. But you say there's a vision of darkness coming to the night of the ceremony, and you say there's a wave of people influxing into the city within the span of the last month. That those variables do come into alignment amidst stirrings from the Underdark, do they not?
Belinda's eyes will sort of go wide, and Nalys will connect the dots that I think you're making, Glint, and say, perhaps the darkness is the drow themselves coming upon the Moonweaver's ceremony. And Belinda will say, of course, how didn't I see it? Yes, indeed, perhaps the drow themselves are ones to be watched for. We are dark elves, after all, and the Omens came to us. Perhaps the Moonweaver expects us to purge the threat from our own ranks. Viola sort of like shakes her head again. She goes, again, this is...
It's based on omens rather than evidence.
Exactly, this is... Make no mistake, the Moonweaver is a great and powerful source of prophetic energy, but it seems very vague and highly interpreted.
What I would recommend would be, if there is a cult to the Spider Queen present in Lyrangorn, then perhaps it would be possible to search out a place of worship or any signs of following of her. And as such, you could potentially locate an incumbent cultist cell operating in Lyrangorn that infiltrated.
Nayla says, you mean to think that this possible betrayal, this plot, has infiltrated the clergy of the Moonweaver herself?
Possibly, or at the least has infiltrated amidst the remaining those in safe need, essentially taking advantage of the fact that there are those here that have come genuinely in need and trying to hide amidst them.
The Moonweaver does test us always. She's a god of misdirection and trickery, and sometimes that can be used to test us. even in such dire times. You should be cautious.
I think at the very least it'll be worth investigating quietly, as not to cause panic or unrest. But it would be a very classic destabilization means for a cult to undertake, because it would both deal a blow to another god's worship and then possibly force the drow out of the city and back into the Underdark, where they could be reclaimed by Lolth.
To think, betrayer gods making moves now to claim cities.
It's not the first time.
It is not the first time, I agree, but it is
No.
concerning that it's occurring at all.
It's not the first time in the last 4 months. Question.
All eyes turn to you.
The Horned King made a play on Western 2 months ago.
The leader of the drow sort of like looks at the Horned King. The moon, the high priestess sort of seems to be like, where am I? Whereas Nalys from underneath their mask is eye wide and says, not a betrayer god, but still was considered to have similar influence in the calamity.
Say the Horned King? This is events prior to me being in the campaign.
Yeah,
I'll
make
take
a
out a
religion
piece
check.
of paper and have Roxy Leviosa write the name Baphomet.
Yeah, I was wondering if that was
Show the
Baphomet.
paper.
Yeah.
And show the piece
Yeah,
of
yeah.
paper to everyone.
Oh, that's a
They all
20.
go, there's definitely like a gasp, and as you write the name on the piece of paper, and after like everyone sort of like retracts in the room, all of the two drow women and Nalys sort of retract. The page will
burn the piece
actually.
of paper afterwards.
I was gonna say, as you write it, and people sort of retract from it. It will, from the middle of it, almost like ignite by itself in like a silvery flame. It just.
Glint's just kind of like nodding along, just very casual.
Roll me a religion check, Lynn. Let's see if Glint knows who Baphomet.
I rolled a 20 total on the religion.
Oh, you know who that is. Baphomet the Horned King is a demon lord of savagery and minotaurs, a hunter, quasi-deity. Who, during the calamity was, the prime deities and the betrayer gods fought, but many demon lords held a position of like power in the war similar to that of deities, one of which was Baphomet, the Horned King. He was a very heavy player in the calamity. Not enough to be considered a god, but certainly a terrifying entity.
He's also filled with like mazes and Garistro and other fun, horrible things. Very, very cool figure.
He's a very to understand his domain is to understand the idea of survival. To be the greatest hunter, the greatest killer is to be the most superior individual.
Yeah.
So like they just threw that out on the table and is standing with perfect composure.
Glint's nodding in like odd familiarity, I think. He's not really reacting like someone that's unused to hearing that name around.
It definitely takes everyone in the room back, and Yvaine, before you light it, it lights by itself. Like this is a consecrated holy temple of the prime deity, and the name itself warrants that silver light burns it.
Yeah, like I wouldn't say the name, and as soon as I finished writing the name, because they didn't know who I was talking about, immediately I was burning it. Like there was no disrespect intended, just a means to communicate, since not everyone's following.
Yeah. And the high priestess will speak to her counterpart, and she'll say, I would not speak his name aloud in such a holy place, but a demon lord of great might and terror. She's a demon lord. Nalys says, demon lord. In the last 4 months, an incursion, you said.
I will brief them on the events of the Oni and the tower. I'm sure
Have you heard that
Zarvolg
song
will
by
step
have you
in.
heard the song by the resounding bard from no Western bard?
From
No, they
Balthasar Bleak Skull.
you
Yeah.
never heard the song by
Brilliant
Balthasar
tune.
Bleak Skull about the Aurora
Yeah.
Concordant? No.
No.
They have not heard it so far up in the bunch. Oh, you know what? You know what? Actually, Nalys goes, "Oh no, I've heard this song." Like he's fully is like, "No, no, I've heard of this. This
Oh, yeah,
MCU.
that's-
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's
That's
us.
crazy." Oh,
That's
Pretty
wow.
good
really us.
beats.
No, those he had it was rather dour, but I liked it. It was catchy.
Yeah, no, he's great.
It's great. Yeah.
So then also there have been other disturbances in regards to Shade Barrow, which potentially connect to another demon lord. And up around Gap Shadow, which connects to yet another. So yeah, you know, general fuckery in the dividing planes in the last 4 months.
Nalys says, "Well, like, an incursion is one thing, but there are many places across Exandria that have relationships with betrayer gods and that much is. But an actual incursion. And now this, you should take this with the utmost seriousness."
Yvaine will look at Nalys and say, this is what we've been doing. The Aurora Concordant, this is literally what we've been doing for the last 4 months.
Nalys says that it is all the more important that we ascend into the Underdark, find the source of the danger, but the Moonweaver Ribbons is only 2 days away. And whatever evil plots have been laid have probably already been put into action, are already standing by. We should do what we can to see if we can figure things out. It would be better if we stayed during the ceremony and tried to avert whatever disastrous events coming and then descend. Hit the find the source of the problem, slay it, purge it, purify it. I am a cleric of the Moonweaver. I have such powers.
All right, let's do it.
I could arrange, given say tomorrow, to do some additional work, or even today if needed. There are some small countermeasures for those at the ceremony on the ground, but most of my wards and protections are stationary things. Protecting wyverns in the sky and the riders is not much my my purview.
Nalys says, I will talk to the Crescent Conclave and speak to them of our findings here and see if I can get them to move to action. They do indeed value their neutrality greatly and have been of very little help in what I intend to achieve. But I will try again. It may even be best that you and your company attend the moon ribbon ceremony as normal. Keep an eye out for danger. Who knows, a sharp eye might be just as important as an investigative one. Try to go forward and enjoy the ceremony and pretend to not be looking out for some dastardly plots. And be ready for whatever happens. Be ready for anything, really. I will go to the Crescent Conclave and investigate the clergy of the Moonweaver, which is expansive here in Livingham. Don't know how much I'll be able to achieve in one day, but I will do all I can. I will seek the prophecies of the Moon Maiden to see if she can help.
May I help you?
Of course. But it is also your vacation, and I do not wish to impose. The two drow kind of like look at themselves like,
Vacation.
they're like, what?
Yeah, you know, most of what I was wanting to do came out of trying to find the Moonweaver and the spaces in between the stars. So, yeah. I guess
The High Priestess takes you by the shoulders. She says, You are part drow. You came here to seek out the Moonweaver, and the Moonweaver has brought you here. She is a prophetic god. She has brought you here to stop this evil, to aid us, the drow people. It is your purpose for being here. It is not in the omens. It has not been prophesied, but it means something. She must have brought you here for a reason. Then, perhaps the fate of we drow are in your hands. We hear of Lyran Lord.
And she will actually like drop into the deepest full curtsy that she can manage from what she's seen at court. She's not very graceful, but damn it, she's gonna try because
Make an acrobatics check to try and touch the nose.
her mama.
To touch the ground with your nose.
Okay, so it was less touching the ground with her nose and more like the full curtsy, like beautiful court. But God is
I'll allow acrobatics or performance. Acrobatics or performance, your choice.
Performance. So nat 20 for a 21.
You do a very actually you like, you've been to court and stuff like that, but you recall your mother making this like bowing gesture to your father once when you were very little. And it seemed very strange and almost alien to you and weird. But in this moment, you understand that to have been what you're attempting, which is almost like this, like respectful bow. And you do not, and you're doing one of these, but it's that's very sort of like surface role poorly. But you perform this sort of like long, deep gesture of respect, and it's not one that's very feminine. Like it's not like this or a curtsy. It is very much like a bow, as the drow are very matriarchal and sort of have that, severity. And you perform this very sort of severe, respectful bow, and she takes that well. She takes it very well. With that, not much left to be said, but simply good lucks and such. You all depart. Nalys looks at you three and nods and says, "Enjoy your time in Lyran, but keep a sharp eye. I might need you during the ceremony."
Likewise, do be careful in the meantime.
Nalys,
Yes.
is there someplace I can go to be alone with the moon?
You are in the city of Lyran. I expect there's no shortage of places where you can find some meditative solitude. And he'll suggest any number of the hundreds of places in Lyran.
Is there actually a place that's like where we are, like amongst the drow?
I don't think he would know. Nalys just come to the drow for the first time as much about it as you. The drow,
High Priestess.
Yeah, the High Priestess would say she looks around at the temple that's filled with the people, and she's like, "Not here." She says, she sort of shakes her head with a sad look. She goes, "Perhaps when the drow were not here, perhaps when the first wave hadn't come, this was a much more place of solitude, but now it is quite filled. Perhaps the outskirts of the respite, but we are rather packed as of late. Our numbers have just doubled, and we're trying to house everybody." But yes, you can all depart. Nalys nods to you all and says, "Fear not. My will is that of the Moonweavers, and she is the greatest ally. But I will be successful if she wills it." And he will depart into Lyran, and perhaps all of you might as well. With that, a long rest is had by the party. You all wake up, join each other for breakfast for 8 silver, and maybe you want to talk about some stuff.
Yeah. This seems chat worthy.
Hey guys, trader gods are up to shit.
Whenever Glint goes down for breakfast, he's going to like order just coffee and like something very light.
Yeah.
But he'll wait for everyone else to kind of come down as he's going through his spell book and prepping his spells for the day. Whenever anyone has a moment, if we could pick a nice place for something of a meeting on, I know we're in the midst of travel. We don't really have a conference room, but maybe someone's suite or something of that nature.
Yeah, sure. I haven't really set up anything in my room. We can use that.
That makes perfect sense.
Okay. You all find your way into Zarvolg's room. It's very nice and healthy. Very comfy, as it always is around here.
Probably smells like Zarvolg though, so.
Despite yourself, Zarvolg, it seems that the enchantments here are quite strong. And not even your scent lingers.
My musk.
Not even your musk lingers. Just like dainty elvish perfume smells.
Gross.
Just smells ever faintly of potpourri at all times.
Right.
Absolutely.
Lavender.
Yep.
Glint's going to, like, before starting any heavy conversations, flip his book to a very specific page and go through the motions of casting Private Sanctum.
All right, Paternal Private Sanctum. Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's paranoia.
I love them. I love those non-detection spells. They're the best. All right, well, Private Sanctum goes down. You expect no one will be hearing this conversation. Nor angels nor devils will hear what's happening here.
So, thank you all for meeting me here in Zarvolg's room. We'll try not to spend too much time here.
I feel the need to tell you that you are an extraordinary, handsome individual. I just want to get that out of the way. Please continue.
Oh, thank you. So, firstly, there's a few things I can do, security-wise, to help make sure the ceremony goes well. I could lay down some protective glyphs if there's a singular stage with the priests undertaking the ceremonies to the Moonweaver. I could lay out some alarm spells. I would just need to have a clear view of where the main congregations are taking place for the ceremony. Beyond the ones that are up in the sky. Secondly, if this is something involving a cult of a betrayer god, and there was also the actions of the cult of Baphomet, and then the voices Yvaine heard in the last expedition. That implies that greater forces of the more southern and downward sort are potentially marshalling for something, and I hope it's more of a reaction than a cohesion. If that makes any sense of me worrying over. So we should plan a little bit, I suppose. So what all can we do today?
So I think the first thing I want to do is completely catch Ember and Finch and Nyx up to speed. He might have missed
I
that.
should have led with that.
He might have missed that.
You take much better notes than I do, by all means.
I was just a little confused.
Yeah, so I think whatever in a day ago, when we were in Zephyra, you told me you were an angel, and I told you my mum was a drow elf. And I usually don't make a big issue out of it, and I don't know why. I just know why that Mum told me if anyone ever asks about, I should say that I look the way I look because my dad's Earth Genasi, and I guess now I know why. Anyhow, the point is, there's fuckery under the mountain, and it's got eyes, and there are more refugees now that are recent refugees. And it could be connected to what drove Mum to lead her people out. And they're worried about some weird spider goddess.
Loath, yes.
Ew. Sorry.
It's all right.
Anyone can
Also,
roll if they want to roll this.
this chamber is secured. No one can scry into here. No one can even listen at the door at the moment.
That's brilliant. So yeah. I know we're on vacation and we're supposed to be vacationing. But apparently there's fuckery. So I would like to put it on the table as something that perhaps the Aurora Concordant would deal with.
Also, Nix, welcome aboard. You've progressed beyond, you know, the general surface level fuckery that we get into, and you're now thoroughly in cahoots in the conspiracy theory angling of what all we do in the rest of the time.
Enjoy it. Glint's first day we fought a dragon. A red one damn near killed us. It was rough.
It was very stressful.
I got bit almost in half.
Twice. Twice.
You're a man of strong constitution.
They're a little whiny. It was a little hot. Don't let them blow it out of proportion.
It was magma.
The point is, yeah, Nix, I know you're with the carnival and you're probably used to doing very, very fun, wonderful, bringing people joy things. And that's so important, especially now, because this group is usually fighting an apocalypse every other week.
Not
I'm
really.
actually not exaggerating.
We're
Just tiny.
just a little. Just
a little one. As a treat.
A treat of an apocalypse. That's lovely. So, I take it. It might be useful to have somebody to cheer you up during these apocalyptic events. Maybe cheer you on along with cheering you up.
Oh my god, joy would be amazing because the apocalyptic events are honestly apocalyptic.
I would say, Nix, you know that like you're pretty much free. You're part of the carnival, you know. If you want to, you know, you get the sense that you'd be let go to go do whatever you want, but you gotta ask for permission from Mr. Witch and Mr. Light, the proprietors of the carnival. You know, they're relying on you.
Yeah. I probably should do that.
The day job's calling.
I get that. I'm learning to scribe so that I have a day job. Of course, if I lose my eyes, it's a terrible day job. I need to get a day job I can do as a blind person.
Sorry, I got an education and decided that I wanted my career going forward to always be around education. Which in hindsight was not a wise play of my part. But here we are.
Not necessarily. We're building an academy.
Well, that's true. I can teach so many people about skeletons.
Skellies.
Dude. The place get burned to the fucking ground. Open up a necromancy school? Jesus Christ.
Now this is a tibia.
It's like, Finch, your friend's acting up. We gotta burn down his academy. I know you understand. Fun dragon.
Nix, if you'd be so kind. So, two of my main concerns currently regarding the current plotting we're discussing is what groups have recently entered the city in short notice that are sufficiently large to contain within their ranks ill-intended individuals. Um, the most likely currently is um, agents of occults secreted within the drow that have come seeking succor in Lyrengorn. Um, the other possibility is the carnival, but you said that you've been there for some time. Have you all taken on any groups of new hires recently that you know of? Any strange new acts coming in before you entered Lyrengorn?
Nix, if you want to, it's a very big question. If you want to roll to see if you can think of any new acts coming to the Witchlight Carnival, I will say two things to you. First is, yes, of course, you can roll and see if you can figure out. The second is, hey, this Glint guy might be trying to get a sneak peek before getting a carnival ticket, and that might not be cool. But that's up to you.
I'm all for sneak peeks, so let's roll to see if there's anything new, any new acts.
Got it. Make me either a history or investigation check. You may choose which one.
We did investigation. It was 8 plus 2, so it's 10.
10.
So I don't know.
A 10? No, you not all, but you'll know about one or two that are coming in new. There are 2 new acts that have just come in recently that are very exciting. There are the snail races and the dragonfly rides. These are not snails or dragonflies that are this big. They're, in fact, probably bigger than a car. These particular species of dragonfly, they're giant snails and giant dragonfly, and there's going to be races and rides. Those are the newest acts that you're aware of. You've seen the cages, they're large.
Exciting.
So you can tell the group that or keep that to yourself. That is your choice.
Oh, okay. Yes. So very large snails. I don't think they're a threat to anyone, though. They're not. For races, they're not very fast. And dragonflies that are very large as well. Very exciting.
Interesting. It might be worth looking into the dragonfly rides, both as a customer and as a conspiracy theorist. Simply because if the threat is intended at the Wyvern riders, they would likely need some means of access to the sky, I imagine. I think Lyrengord would notice if someone was, carrying around materials to pack up and build a siege weapon or ballista to shoot them down or something like that. So but a means of flight is a little bit easier, I think, to keep subtle, right? So it might be worth today to check out that attraction, and also to maybe some of us could hit the bricks and see what we can find out about the recent drow inductees into the city as well.
I have a question. Of really, really smart people. If you could ask your god a single question about this particular event, what would that question be?
Religious people.
You have one question. My initial thought is how to best divert the ill intentions on the Moonweaver's river. I don't know. You've got one question. Tell me how to formulate it, and
personally, and this might be an overtly simplistic answer on my part, but I tend to find in magic it's good to follow the rules of the gnome evoker Occam. which is to often seek the simplest answer to an equation, because that is often also the true answer. So if I could ask a question, I would ask who the target is of such a conspiracy, who we need to protect.
You have a pipe?
A pipe?
Yeah. I mean, I can buy one if you don't. It's not that late.
Honestly, I haven't smoked in about 10, 12 years.
No worries. I'll go buy one somewhere.
Sorry, I quit ages ago.
So we just had long rest and this is the morning, yeah? Correct.
Yeah, this is the morning. You guys just had breakfast?
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. At some point, Yvaine's going to go buy a pipe and find that moon cleric, but otherwise, we have a day.
Right. Yvaine intends to take up smoking and try and look cool in front of the cleric. Does anybody else have anything to do? Nix, do you want to go and try and talk to the carnival and see if Mr. Witch and Mr. Light would be cool with letting you go?
Yes.
All right. All right.
Hey, Nix.
Anybody?
Yes.
Hey, Nix. Make sure you point out to them that generally when we do this sort of thing, it attracts a lot of attention. Might be good for the carnival.
Ah, that's true. That's true. Good angle. I like it.
Would you like one of us to accompany you to act as a point of reference?
Absolutely. Be a hype man to get me out of this job for a little bit.
Probably one Ember for that. He's
the right man for the job, I'm telling you.
he's very good about business and business-related topics and being likable.
He's good at talking to people, is what he's good at. Maybe the rest of us not so much. Except Finch. Finch is good at everything. Literally everything.
It's a little scary, actually. I occasionally find myself wondering if all the prophecy child talk is true.
You'll never know.
No, it's absolutely true. What do you mean you're wondering? No, it's totally true.
Is it?
Well,
I mean,
Finch has also got some social cachet.
That's
I
true.
don't know how much of that extends this far north, but
I mean, being the angel of a god probably matters to anyone. And she's going to open up her book on the relationship of prime deities and seeing if she can find anything between the Moonweaver and the Platinum Dragon. What does the book she bought say about the relationship between the Moonweaver and the Platinum Dragon?
Okay. Maybe an investigation check.
I guess I always take prophecy a little with a grain of salt, if I can. My general
investigation? Very well, 17.
17. Let's see. Let's see. You know that they got along. You know, they were on the same side in the war. They didn't have any particularly strictly intertwined relationship. The Moonweaver is a much more sort of, I want to say chaotic, but certainly a more flexible, more, I don't want to say morally loose either, but, you know, she's a god of trickery. She's a god of deceptions. And sure, it's for the purposes of goods, like, you know, helping lovers in a midnight tryst and helping the shadows just sort of save them from capture, or, you know, those kinds of things, those kind of harmless sort of trickeries is her domain. So she's a little bit more flexible. She's a little bit more fun. Whereas the Platinum Dragon is much more rigid. It's much more a god of justice and defense, and is a much more exacting god. So the two, there isn't a ton in there about their mythology, but there is a section that talks about the decision for the prime deities to leave the material plane, in which Bahamut and Erathis, the god of law, the two of them being considered to be amongst the gods the most good, the most like lawfully good, most uncorruptible of the gods, the most just like strictly the best moral compasses of the gods, suggested that divinity be taken from the land, that they lock the betrayer gods behind the divine gate and go with them and allow mortals to make their own fate, to decide if they wish to continue to worship the gods or not, and make it their decision, their fate. And there was no reservations from the Moonweaver. She, with the other prime deities, agreed with Bahamut. So you know that she trusted Bahamut and probably still does trust Bahamut implicitly as a defined moral compass amongst the prime deities.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Saying all of that to everyone. And it has to be true because it's in the book that I bought. Also, my library, I have 15 books now. 15.
Literally sitting here pulling more out of my ass because I don't know how to answer this. That is true canon, but it was, I had to go into the small parts of my brain to find that one. Anyway, so it sounds like Nyx, Finch, and Ember are going to the carnival a little early. Maybe Finch and Ember are getting a sneak peek thanks to Nyx. All right, let's do that. Let's do that. So you guys head off to the Witchlight Carnival. Sorry, give me a moment. I'm just making some adjustments. This is going to be, let's see here. Okay. You guys head over the bridge and into the Witchlight Carnival. You've been here many times, Nyx, and you've seen it set up many more times than even that. And you're kind of like, no, like you're not really like, whatever. This is your place. This is your thing. This is what's normal to you. But for Finch and Ember, my God, you see giant dragonflies, like the size of horses, whirling overhead. You see all manner of strange gnomes and elves and humans walking around with big butterfly wings on their back. Nyx, you would know that one of the requirements of being in the carnival is that you have to wear like a set of butterfly wings, and that's just to show good spirit. And they very much care about good spirit here in the carnival. So you would know that it would be proper etiquette to put on a pair and hand them off to Finch and Glint from the main booth. Would you do so?
Here you are, Ember and Finch. You need to wear these lovely wings. We must stay festive for such a carnival.
Oh.
They're like big, colorful, pearlescent, like white and pink wings that look like they're butterfly wings.
Well,
They'll make you look very snazzy.
when in Rome, whatever that means, put them on.
When in Amon,
When in Amon, except we're
when in
not.
Vasselheim,
When in Lyrengorn, wear the fucking wings.
Wear the
I'm
wings.
just compelled to click my heels together for some reason. I don't know.
You guys kind of walk in. Nyx, you're wandering along, and you see all kinds of people. You see like a centaur girl. You see this crazy like black jaguar creature walk along. You see like a small treant like walk along. All kinds of creatures just sort of wander through that are like, what the hell? And Finch and Ember, you find yourself in like this menagerie of like strange, colorful, with this cast of unordinary creatures that Nyx you find to be just like whatever, and you know the names of everybody. You're waving to people, and they're waving back to you, and we'll get to specifics soon enough. But what's most important is you go to Mr. Witch and Mr. Light's carriages, which I need to deal with right now. So basically, you go over there. There is a big circle of trees that have been intentionally grown to create sort of like a staff area. And you approach it, and you see standing outside is your good friend Burley, who is a giant fat bugbear who wears a pumpkin on his head.
Oh, I love him.
He has big steel bracers, and he wears overalls. And he's like eating like a turkey leg, and he goes, well, hello there, Nyx. What are you doing? What are you doing here? Who are these folks?
These are my new companions. I'm hoping to travel with them soon, and I have to talk to Mr. Witch and Mr. Light. To get
You're traveling with them soon. You're going to be leaving us, Nyx. You can't be leaving us.
Just temporarily, good friend. Temporarily. I'll be back soon enough.
Oh, that makes me real sad, but all right. Well, yeah, on you go then, I suppose. And he will open the way for you, and he says, "Oh, yeah, never mind." he just lets you go. Sorry, give me a second. Yeah, he just lets you go. Sorry, I thought there was a little bit of something there. But anyway, you guys come to two rather extravagant carriages that are decorated in reds and blacks and are very, very nice. And you see stepping out of one of the carriages is, you know what, Nyx, roll me any dice. Roll me any dice and let me know evens or odds to see which of the two proprietors you're going to run into today.
Nine. So
9.
odds.
You run into the more dour of the two, and maybe have a little like you run into Mr. Witch. You see a man in a long checkered coat. He's very formal. He's wearing like almost like a zoot suit in a way. He has a walking stick at his side. He's rather burly. He's a larger gentleman. He has a top hat with a dark rose sort of right in the center and a larger rose like right at his side. And as always, he's checking his time on his glowing golden pocket watch that he sort of stows away. And as he tips his hat up and looks at you, you will see his like gray skin and long pointed elvish ears. He has a number of gold rings across his fingers, and he kind of has that dour. He has a little bit of like a Winston Churchill look to him. He's got that sort of like long blubbery face, and he goes, "Nyx, what can I do for you? Who are these people you have in my carnival?"
I've met these lovely people, and we've been throwing around the idea of maybe traveling a bit outside of the carnival. I was wondering if I could get permission to creep away for just a small time.
You want to leave the carnival for this world, for this Exandria?
A change of scenery, and it's for a good cause, from what I understand.
Oh, Nyx, we've talked about this. You know that the world out there is dark and dour and gloomy, and the carnival's an opportunity for a new life. Perhaps, are you very sure about this?
Yes. It's just temporary. We're just trying something new. You know how I am. I'm very go with the flow of things. Like I can't be stationary. That's why I like this carnival so much. But I just like a little bit of freedom.
Make me a persuasion check. Just a little bit of.
Just
No.
a little bit.
No.
Which one are we doing?
Persuasion. Give us a persuasion.
Got it. 13.
13.
Yeah.
He seems flabbergasted. He can't believe what he's hearing. He gets like he has no idea. He goes, I would warn you to be cautious of reckless acts, Nix. I'll tell you what. Why don't you do the performance when the Moonweaver ribbon ceremony thing that these people like so much is happening, and maybe we'll talk about this after the carnival.
I
If
think they're wanting to go
if I
somewhere
may,
else sooner,
sir.
but
My name is Ember Van Zyl.
I'll take her hand, shake her hand, say, outsiders, Nix, are going to spoil all of the surprises.
Trust
Very
me,
well, Mr. Ember. Let's
we
try to do for you.
we aren't interested in snooping and spoiling any particular surprises and fun that you and your fantastic show have to offer. I am a member of a traveling company of a slightly different nature, the Aurora Concordant. Most recently out of Amman, but previously out of Western and other places around Tal'Dorei. We've had some information come across our plate that we feel that having some of Nix's expertise may be instrumental to preventing a tragedy.
Tragedy, say, huh?
Indeed. And if you could see fit to temporarily release them from their obligation to help us see this to fruition, I'm certain that would speak well for your show and may warrant some due fanfare and notoriety that may positively influence your attendance figures.
Make a persuasion check.
can I give Ember some inspiration?
If you wanted, I'll tell you what, because you've already made your argument, now Ember's kind of jumping in to help out. We'll call that the help action. So he'll give Ember an advantage.
Okay.
Yes.
For sure.
That'll be a 23 in aggregate.
A 23, he kind of goes, oh, this is what I'm talking about. Next is there's a tragedy. You want to get mixed up in a tragedy? Well, I still need someone to perform in your slot, but you say it's good press, and I do like good press. I'll tell you what, I'll make you a deal, Nix. If you stay and you perform for the carnival during the Moonweaver ribbon ceremony, and you agree to tell everybody about how grand and wonderful the Witchlight Carnival is on your travels, then maybe even perhaps return to us one day. Very well. I'm sure we could find a way to fill your slot back in the Feywild.
Thank you. I appreciate it so very much.
As do we.
I'm
and
so glad.
if your carnival ever finds yourselves in the vicinity of Amman, we are directly attached to the council as a group of troubleshooters, and we are not without a fair amount of influence in that locale?
I don't know about any council. We're only here for and he pops out his watch and says, "We're only here for another 2 days. We might be, well, whatever." And he sort of like looks to you, Nix, and says, "I just." He kind of shakes his hand, kind of walks off, blubbering, kind of going like, "I can't sent in the ranks. It's pathetic to me. I've never seen such a thing." He's just kind of blubbers to himself a little bit as he wanders away, seeming. And you know this about Mr. Witch is that the carnival often speaks that he thinks so grand of himself he never sees anything coming that doesn't go his way. I mean, that's kind of his way. But it seems that as
great
long
success,
as you
friends. Great success.
exactly. As long as you
You
make
know him better than I do. If you feel that was a great success, I am willing to accept it as such.
I'll shoot you guys a little handout of Mr. Witch on Roll20. I'm working on our cleric friend. That's coming. Alrighty. It seems that Nix, as long as you make your performance, you'll be free to go. Explore Exandria. No more traveling from place to place to place to place, and you know, as carnivals do, setting up shop in one place for a night and disappearing the next. It seems that you're going to have a little, I don't know, a little, what do I call it? Consistency in your life. You're going to have some, a world that you will stay in for a little while, it seems. All right, is there anything else that...
Change is good. Change is delightful.
Change is delightful. Is there anything that you, Nix, would like to do here in the Witchlight Carnival before leaving?
I bring back the crew some candy apples.
Okay, absolutely.
Nix, is there anything that is small and reasonably portable that is endemic of the carnival itself?
Come again.
Something that would be emblematic of the carnival, something that is ingrained in its nature. I'm supposing, based on what I've heard, that not only does the carnival move in location, but it may move in other means as well. And if you wanted to return, having a token of the carnival may facilitate that in the future if you so desire it.
Well, our wings would be a great token of that nature, honestly. Like the ones we handed out to you earlier.
Okay, I will tuck that away.
You, Ember, you guys can keep these for the carnival tomorrow, so all three of you can add to your inventory probably in the other possession somewhere. Carnival butterfly wings. All right, there's the handout for Nalys Ildareth, for anyone who wants it. Okay. Fantastic. You guys leave not before you step by some of the carnival hands and ask for some candy apples ahead of time. They go, well, all right, Nix. You know we like you very much, so all right, here you go. And they give you some candied apples, the three of you, whoever this particular carnival hand is. There will be many carnival hands all around, working around. Some of them, some of them named, other ones not. But this particular one is just like some kid you picked up like 2 carnivals ago. And he's like, all right, here you go. And he gives you guys some candied apples for free.
Thank you, Fred.
Incredible. All right. With that, you guys head out back into Leirengorn. We got a couple of minutes left, and this day might be quite valuable before tomorrow's, because tomorrow, oh boy, you got the Witchlight Carnival, you got the Moonweaver's Ribbon Ceremony. You may or may not have an assassination attempt going on. But you know what? It is 10 minutes early, but I couldn't imagine us. Is there any like last tiny little things anyone needs to get done before we end the session?
Not little ones. I think it's going to be next session for Glint stuff.
Got it. Yvaine?
I was going to try to find Nalys, and I was going to cast divination. Also, possibly smoke the azimite beforehand. Hadn't quite discussed it. Hadn't thought about it yet.
Yeah, do you do that privately?
I don't know yet. We're still working on it yet. Like, we're still working on the whole concept. But yeah, that is planned before the month, because we got to know who to protect, right?
Okay.
The whole faith thing. So yeah.
All right, Mike. Okay, so let me ask you your sequence of events. Are you smoking the azurite with this cleric guy, or are you going to try to fight him? No, okay,
I don't trust him that well. I don't know him that well. I need to find a place where I can sit alone in the moonlight, smoke, and cast this divination spell, because I know that this is something that was used that way. That came up on the check, that it was used by people to try to touch divine things. So
your choice. There is, that there are like the private like nooks in the Temple of the Moon, which the presence of like scented smokes is not unheard of in a temple, incenses and such, and there are the private alcoves, so that's pretty good. But there is also I think it's the Seeker's Quarter, where there's like lots of different facilities for people who want to do like private meditative stuff. That's very common. So your choice.
I was in the Temple of the Moon the night before, and that's where she touched the moon sickle. So let's just go there. And also, like when I come in, I don't want to make a big deal out of it. So if I need to make a sleight of hand check, that's fine. But I would like to make a 500 gold piece donation. Again, I really want to try to be subtle about it. I don't want anyone to know who it's from, but like right. I'm just so grateful.
Make me a stealth or sleight of hand check, your choice. That's quite a boon, my friend.
I'm not frightened either.
It's quite a boon. You'll see you touch from there.
I know. I'm just fuck. Okay, that was 19.
That is, to be clear, that is a big bag of gold. That is 600 that's 600 coins. That's a lot of change. You like walk in, you look around, you almost like just sort of like drop the bag. Like it doesn't even fit in the alms box. Like literally, it doesn't fit in the alms box. You kind of just drop it behind the pedestal where the alms box is, and just kind of walk away.
Platinum. I could have given the.
Too late. You already did gold. You walk away and you're like, oh wait, I have platinum. But as you say it, you hear someone by the door say, "Holy fuck!" They go, "Don't curse in the name." Holy shit! And a number of little small groups gonna form around. Gargantuan sum of coin you have left for the clergy. None the wiser if you have left it. You find your way to one of the alcoves, and they will certainly be distracted by your donation enough that they're not going to pay much attention. You fill, and yes, you purchase a pipe for like a silver, if there's a price on it, that instead. But you sit down with your pipe, you fill it with.
I have incense. I do have incense. So I'm going to light the incense first.
All right, you light some incense. You make sure it's real fucking smoky in here.
And it's the good shit. It's the stuff to like summon a familiar with. It's not cheap shit.
Yeah, you summon some decent arcane incense to mask it, and then you start crushing like literally like fucking like blocks of crystal meth or something. You start like crushing them on the end of the table.
Already done. I already did that.
All right, sure. You already did that.
Remember? No, I did it on the Friday.
Okay. Yeah. And you did it, and now you're here, and you sort of like start filling the end of your pipe with this glowing blue arcane dust. And you light it. Holy fuck. And you start.
Very craft.
So give me a second here. I'm gonna go look at divination.
And the question is.
Oh, hang on. Oh. So I'm gonna say don't worry about the 25 gold piece consumed product. Well, actually, yeah, I'm gonna say worry about that. But that comes. We'll say that's the azurite. The azurite will supplement that consumption cost. So mark off one of your stones, and that'll be your incense for the divination spell. And you smoke it. You cast divination. You may ask a single question of your god as you sit here in this moonlit alcove with the small stars in the dark, sort of glistening off the crystals of the roof. You think the divination spell cast. What would you ask for secondly?
Who and or what are we to protect?
All right. So Yvaine, you pretty much spend a portion of the day just tripping crazy balls in this alcove. In fact, let's get this properly themed correctly over here. We're gonna just yeah, really.
He's not judgy about this kind of thing.
He's like, quiet, and I gotta get you a little kooky. Yeah, Happy's like you're literally like laying in the pose, and Happy's like poking your face. But you're just like so fucking out of it. I don't even know what music to put on for this. Let's try this one. You start just completely losing it. You lose sense of like reality. You're no longer in this alcove. You're in a silvery mist of starlight. You are flying through the black of night towards the moon, sort of swirling around. Happy appears in front of you and goes, "Hi, Yvaine," and sort of flies away into the silvery stars. You see Zarvolg, who goes, "I can't believe you did that, witch," and just like flies away on a broom. You see Nyx, who goes, "I'm new here," and floats away. Finch is like giving you the Bahamut shake head of disagreement as
When you get
as
it,
they
you
yeah, they sort of like float. They're like sort of like spinning around. They're like giving you the look, but they're just kind of floating around in space, like I don't know, like something like a wrench you tossed into the air. The Glint's going, just do your. It goes, just do your thing. I mean, I raise skeletons. You smoke crack cocaine, and just sort of flies through.
All things are equal.
Yeah, Ember floats along too. Ember goes, "Don't exaggerate, Glint. It's just a little rock," and just like floats by. And you eventually like get to the moon, and you see this big, beautiful woman with blue skin, not like a drow, but like accentuated like what a really prominent moon elf might have. She has I deleted the wrong one. But she has hang on. There she is. There's a picture of her. She's pretty much bald except to like the back of the head, and then she has a long wisp of white hair that goes on more than the length of her entire body and sort of spins around the actual moon. Her dark blue skin is immaculate and perfect, and she's shrouded in a long, flowing, layered white dress. And her feet and knees are sort of exposed, and she sort of plays with the moon in between her fingers. Wisps of ribbons fly off in the various colors that you hope the Moonweaver's ribbons might look like and sort of tantalize your vision. And she looks over at you, Yvaine, and she says, Starborn, Yvaine, they are all right. I brought you here for a great purpose. What was the question you asked, Yvaine?
Who and or what are we supposed to protect?
Thus, you, Yvaine, my most precious star, are meant to protect all of Exandria. For below the surface of the dark, there is something darker still. Darker even still more than the space between my lights. There is something you must retrieve, something you must take, and you must take to great safety. And only then will Lyrangorn and the drow people be safe under my moonlight. But you must go deep. You must go into the dark and face the Eyeless One. She sort of plays with the moon, and you're like, great, it's time to go. And as you turn around, you see the stars all begin to form together into one great conglomeration. But to your horror, you realize these aren't stars, these are eyes. Millions and millions and millions of eyes as they begin to come closer towards you. And you can only imagine this is what the drow saw. In fact, you hear the drow's screams as if you were there amongst them 50 years ago or a month ago when they were run out of the drow tunnels, and you're there, and all you can see is this great cacophony of eyes moving towards you, and you hear a voice you've heard before in your head. Will you not lend me your eyes?
No chance.
And then that is where we'll end the session, as you're spun out in this alcove in the Temple of the Moon. But things are afoot, my friends. Things are afoot.
You know that ring? The ring. That ring. Right on. No, right on. We're good.
Fascinating.
Fascinating. No, it's true.
Well, that's funny. What are you guys laughing
The picture I put in the chat.
at? That's good. Is that Bahamut? Bahamut, excuse me.
Where's Vomit?
It's reminding me of that movie.
Finch.
Yvaine's going to get blitzed out of her mind to try to talk to her goddess.
Love that for her.
Mhm.
And then there's Bahamut going,
I saw that.
maybe this isn't the way to do it.
Hilarious.
That was awesome.
Next session should be a hell of a trip.
Haha. Oh yeah, next session we get to go to the Witchlight Carnival, baby. I'm
I was
excited for
saying,
that.
Yvain's gonna show up to the